Welcome to Not Sports Cards, world's greatest non-sports content creator. Luke plays Spider-Man, Harry Potter, Darth Vader. Collect what you like, they say, oy vey, your cards are crap. Grading is a scam. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. It's your jam. Not Sports Cards is the best, the best. Not Sports Cards is the worst,
The worst.
P.S. Ahsoka blows.
Absolutely.
World's greatest non-sports content creator.
Luke plays Spider-Man, Harry Potter, Darth Vader.
Now, Big Boy, start the
The
show.
show.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hit play and away we go.
Good afternoon, good evening, good zinta, good y'all, whatever it may be, where you are. I am Not Sports Cards. Hope you're doing well. Just decided to fire up the old live stream. I'm going to be joined hopefully in a minute by Sam Sams. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that's happened in the card collecting hobby over the last few weeks. Mainly what happened at the National, a little bit of what I've been buying and selling, and to talk, I didn't go to the National, but a few of my friends did, and they're supposed to hop on and talk about it. But, the word on the street was that the National went pretty well. I mean, everybody has some complaints. Everybody has, some good things to say. Oh, here's Sam. So he's about to, there he is. There's Sam.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good zinta, good y'all, whatever it may be where you are, buddy. Just warming up the audience for you and just saying that, hey, I didn't go to the National, but you did go to the National. And
I did.
Now the question that's been hounding everybody is like, so before Sam's went, he had like what? You were gonna bring like 2,000 cards with you or 5,000 cards?
Yeah, I had 3 2-row boxes.
So like secretly, I was trying to get him to send me videos because all I could imagine was him pulling a little red wagon around the National with 5,000 cards. And I'm like, don't spoil it, Mike. Don't tell him this is all you want. And then he didn't send me videos of it. So did you actually wander around the National with a wagon or like something like that?
Yeah, well, I had bought I bought a suitcase. One that big, not like a huge thing, but medium-sized suitcase, and I was able to set the boxes and just kind of stack them up. And I mean, it was a pain in the butt. It wasn't a pain in the butt rolling it around because it rolled real good. I blended right in. I mean, there were tons of people doing. There were people with wagons. There were people just with push carts. Everybody had a backpack on. So I mean, I get what I hear what you're saying, but I fit right in. Now I was strategic about it. So like, I took them, and this is going to come out wrong. I was lucky enough, quote unquote, to have a handicap parking pass because I had my brother with me who's got stage 4 cancer. So he can't really walk real well. We had to rent him a cart. So the reason I say I was lucky enough with that is that I was parked close enough to the door to where I could take 15 minutes, run to the car, put the thing back in there, and then I could 2 or 3 different times I would have it for a while, then I'd kind of get tired and I'd shove it back. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, there's a little AI. AI of Sam's,
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Yeah, that was my version, but like more,
Yeah, no, that's fair. I did take, and I showed Cards HQ. I thought, hey, they could use some Star Wars inventory, and one of the card shop managers, one of the ones you see on the video, I don't know their names, but they were really nice. He looked through them. He's like, yeah, these are just a little too niche for what we're looking for. All they want for Star Wars is Masterwork or Galaxy Chrome, which is too narrow. I mean, if they really want to sell some and grow the Star Wars,
I'm getting better. We're getting closer. I don't know why they're giving you.
You get closer. What you do is you need to drag it around though. Like
Yeah, that's one of
needs
the
to
things
kind of be
AI
behind
doesn't
me.
understand is like it doesn't understand dragging instead
Yeah,
of
and
you know,
I need to have you need to have cargo shorts on me. I can't have blue jeans.
gotcha.
Fat guys wear cargo shorts or jorts.
Cargo
But
short. The wagon should be trailing behind him.
yeah, there you go.
We'll see if that works. What's up,
But
JB? JB was there with
he was.
so
It was so cool to meet up with JB and his son. We pretty much hung out the whole week together. It was a real good setup. We both had VIP passes, and when I looked at the prices, I'm used to going to toy conventions and Comic Cons, and the VIP passes for those events are $600, $800, $1,000 for a weekend. So when I saw that this for the National was $200, I jumped on it, and I wouldn't recommend anyone go without that, because just for the use of the lounge and to be able to go down and sit down and chill out and relax, and it was worth. And you get in a little early. They had a separate parking area for the VIP, so that was good too. But it was definitely worth, especially if you're going to go multiple days. It's worth spending a little bit extra to do the VIP pass. But
I mean, I was in AC a couple years ago when it was there, and from what I could tell, it wasn't much different. Now, one of the conversations that we had was, still can't get it right, but we're getting, at least
it's
you're wearing
closer.
cargo shorts.
It's closer.
Yeah, we're closer there, cargo shorts and whatever. But from watching it from afar, I can tell you, like, I absolutely am glad I didn't go, 100%. Like, didn't have any FOMO about being there. But one of the conversations we had before that was how much non-sport.
I'm getting a bunch of feedback, Mike. I don't know whether you've got something else playing.
No, I'm not hearing any feedback. Are you do you have the stream open somewhere? Do you have like the YouTube channel?
Get off that. Okay, is that better?
I mean, I wasn't getting feedback, so
okay.
it might have
Interesting.
just been, might have been.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So anyways, you were saying Atlantic City?
No, I was asking how, like, that was 2 years ago, and how much non-sports cards were actually there.
Yeah, it's funny. The longer I was there, the more I saw. And I know you'd kind of given me a heads up, and was like, there's not a whole lot of non-sports there. I'll say that there was, I would say, about every third table or every third booth had a case or two of loose non-sports stuff. So it also depends on what you consider non-sports. If you're going to throw wrestling into the non-sports section,
I mean, I would say I would call it pop culture, not Pokemon, not wrestling. But it looked from afar, it looked like there was a lot more. Like
there wasn't any wax. Like, I was hoping to find some oddball, like a box of Sopranos or a box of something from 5-10 years ago, some of that stuff. There wasn't anything like that, but there was, as far as singles, there was enough to keep your eyes open and to keep you interested.
I mean, it looked to me like what was I going to say? That like you said, when I was there was some like vintage stuff. Like there were some a few people had Star Wars boxes, not the best, but they had there was Empire, or there was modern, right? Like there was, at the time, there was some crappy modern stuff, and but what the heck was I going to say? But it does seem to be like it was focused a lot around the auto stuff, like a lot of or you should tell me. I mean, the pictures, you sent some pictures, and I watched some videos, and it did seem like it was more of the kind of the higher end auto stuff that was there.
Yeah, a lot of higher end autos, but then there were also a lot of tables that just had stacks of random cards. And the first couple of days, I didn't spend a lot of time at those tables but as I was there longer and had kind of seen all the display case stuff, I started rooting through some stuff. And like I found this little Tony Soprano or, James Gandolfini. It's like from a magazine card. I mean, I think I paid like $3 for that or something. I mean, it's not worth anything, but it was like, oh yeah, that's that. And it was just laying on a stack, on a stack of top loaders on a table. So yeah, there was some stuff to dig through.
I mean, there's a what you call it in that set. There's a 50 Cent rookie, like 50 Cent the rapper is from that set.
Yeah,
I have a couple of them. So that's listen. I mean, from what I could tell, there was a lot more non-sports. Like, JB mentioned that there were dollar bins of 80s and stuff. Like, so my take on the National is it's kind of two worlds, right? It's like the modern dealer, like the card collector twos, or the guy who's had a booth since 1985.
And then plus the corporate stuff, and then that's the three things.
Yeah. Well, the corporate stuff is the corporate stuff, but like when it came to dealers, it was like, I found one guy who had non-sports where he just had, huge. They weren't even like modern 50, like 5,000 count boxes, just like huge single cases of everything from 1990 to 1970, and you could just pull them out for 50 cents. And I was like, oh, this is great. But that was it. Like that was the only like. There was maybe one or two other dealers who had older sets or stuff along those lines, but nothing, kind of like no middle of the road. You posted are you opening something right now? Sounds like you're opening.
No, I was trying to reach something here on my.
Oh, okay. It's like you sound like a cat scratching. No, it's okay. I just want to make sure what it was from.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the stuff that I collect. There didn't seem to be a lot there, which is, not, I talked to Sean about it while you guys were there, and it is something to experience. Like, I do think it's something to experience. But tell me about like the trade. We're going to get to it. Like Sam pulled a big card. We'll get to that in a minute, but I'm just trying to did you guys go to a trade? You went to a trade night, right?
Yeah. On Friday night, it was the trade night. I mean, so what they did was below the main floor was the VIP room. And I don't know, I'm not a good judge of square footage, but it was huge. It was about the size of half of the floor. It's just right downstairs below. And that was where the VIP lounge was. But then that's also where in the evening, like at 6:00 after the show ended, that's where the trade nights were. And the National actually sponsored official. I think this was the first time they did official trade nights. They had them Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night. Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, trade nights. And they kind of had themes each night. And Friday night, all three nights, anything goes. And they did, to their credit, like they did have signs up in the room where they had like baseball here, football here. They had a non-sports section, which I was excited to see. The only problem was nobody gave a shit about what the sign said. Everyone just sat up shop wherever they could find a table. So it didn't really, it's still, you had to kind of wander around the whole huge room to take a look and see what people had. But Friday night, Mama Breaks, I don't know if you're familiar with her. She does she used to be on Whatnot. I think now she's on Fanatics Live. She's kind of a Star Wars ambassador, I guess, on the social media side. But she was sponsoring a Star Wars trade night on Friday night. So that was the night that John and I went. The downside to it was you had to kind of stand in line to get, they only let, I think, 4,000 people into the trade nights, which sounds like a lot of people. But
no, again, when it was in Atlantic City, it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. There was like I was there for Card Collector too. I was leaving the facility, and I'm like, there were 1,000 people in line. I'm like, if they were giving away $100 bills, I wouldn't wait in that line.
Yeah. So at like 3:30, so I mentioned before, I went and so like 3:30, I had to run out to my car for something, and I saw one person that had started the line, and I thought, well, crap, here it comes. As soon as one person starts the line, it's going to start. So I actually went over and got line, and I was the second person in line for the trade night. So it was a nice afternoon. The weather was great the whole time we were there. It wasn't overly hot, and it sounds crazy to have stood in line for a couple of hours to get into the trade night. But we were all excited to do that, and it was kind of fun because
you love waiting in lines. Like that's literally not love, but you don't mind.
It's part of it.
You don't mind, right?
Yeah. So the cool thing was I got in line. I texted John. I'm like, hey man, the line started. I've got us a spot. Get out here whenever you can. And he came out and got in line. But the interesting thing about it was there was 5 or 6 other Star Wars collectors who I knew their names like from Whatnot and stuff, but I'd never met. They're not kind of in our circle of Star Wars collector friends, but they got in line right behind us. So there was probably 8 to 10 Star Wars collectors at the front of the line. So the 2 hours went by pretty quick, just kind of chat with them. Hey, what are you into? What am I into? And then of course I got to telling them about the card I pulled, and that turned into a thing. So we all went.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was fun. We all went down with the doors open. We all went down. We all set up our stuff in one section. So we did have like a little Star Wars section for what was supposed to be the Star Wars trade night, but we never saw Mama Breaks at all during the trade night. There were supposed to be like breaking boxes open and stuff like that. We didn't see it. I mean, it was just like mass chaos. I mean, kind of in a good way, mass chaos, but it was mass chaos. And people, there were tables and chairs set up, and you just kind of found your own little corner of a table and just kind of set up your cards. And I just popped open my 3 boxes, and I made $400 or $500 selling, stuff here and there. And I think John did pretty well, so it was fun. It wasn't as great as
we'll get to it in a second. Was his asking about the one-on-one. We can shift into that. So, like, why don't you tell people about the card that you hit? Because we'll get into the
So
try to make it as succinct as possible, I guess. I know you want to tell long, but
So Topps was doing redemption packs at the National. So they had special packs of cards like this. So, but it's got 4 trading cards in a pack. It's special. It's only for the National. These had Star Wars cards in them. And to get these packs, you had to buy either 2 chrome black boxes, 6 flagship retail boxes, or 1 or 2 chrome boxes, hobby, or 1 Return of the Jedi Sapphire box. So basically, you had to spend a couple $100.
So what did you buy to redeem?
I bought the first. Well, I screwed up. So the other catch to this, which I did not know about at first, is you could only buy the boxes from Dave and Adams, Blowout Cards, or Steel City Collectibles. So you couldn't go up to random dealer and buy 2 boxes of Chrome Black and take it over to Topps and get this pack, which is what I did the first day. I was like, oh, Chrome Black. Okay, I can get some Chrome Black boxes. I found a dealer that was selling them for $60 a box, which those aren't the greatest boxes to open up.
I get it. I get it. You were, but
so anyway, I screwed up. Get the pack. I ended up buying I think 10 boxes of Chrome Black the first time, and so I got five silver packs.
Okay.
And then I bought a case of the flagship retail boxes, which sounds crazy. Why would you buy flagship? But I'm actually chasing. I don't think the 1 of 1 Ahsoka has been pulled yet.
How much did a case of flagship?
A case of the flagship was $1,050. A case of the Chrome Black was about $1,200, and the case of the Chrome was $1,200.
Wait, so a case of flagship like
Retail
hobby
blaster boxes.
blaster
Blasters.
boxes. So you bought what?
So you
Are there
got 40 boxes.
Okay, so I got you. Yeah, okay. Like I got
So
you. All right.
the cheapest thing to buy was the flagship, which is what I bought. But then also, but again, I'm chasing the 101 Ahsoka, which I don't think's been pulled yet. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to buy something, I might as well do that. And so I got another 6 packs buying that case. So I had like
But
12 or
I mean,
13.
all well that ends well for you for sure on this. But basically, you were paying for the packs with the case because
Yeah.
you know you could buy a case on Blowout right now or whatever for like $700.
Yeah, and all three of those the cahoots were in because all three of those outlets had the prices jacked up. I mean, on every the Chrome Black was $120 a box, I think.
So
For the
okay,
Chrome Black,
how many packs did you end up of the national packs?
I ended up with 13 when it was all said and done.
Okay, so 13 packs. You spent like what, like $2,000 ish?
Yeah, probably a little less, but yeah.
Okay,
all said
in
and
that ballpark. So how?
Yep.
What did you hit? You hit a big card. How long did it take for you to
Yep.
hit the big card?
Yep. So I was back at the hotel room, and because I was debating, because at the time the packs were selling for $125 a pack on eBay. So it's like, okay, well, I'll sell my packs and get 2/3 of my money back, and then I don't have a whole lot in the cards. But of course, we're all degenerates. I ended up on the third pack that I opened, I pulled the 1/1 Kira or Emilia Clarke Superfractor Auto, and that I most excited I've ever been opening up a pack.
And you were by yourself. You were by yourself in the hotel room. Or no, your brother was with you?
My brother was there. He was actually on the phone with my niece, and my niece is like, "What's wrong with Uncle Sam?" Because I just started, screaming because I knew it was a big card. I mean, it's Emilia Clarke. It's she doesn't sign a ton of pack pulled stuff, and and it was a 1/1. I mean, his Superfractor was gold, shiny, beautiful card. So I did all right.
Obviously, congratulations. That's one part of
Thank
it.
you.
But do you know, is this the first year they did Star Wars packs? Because I've never heard of it before. Yeah.
Yeah, and they didn't advertise it ahead of time. I had no idea that they were doing it. I just kind of wandered back to the to the Topps booth and saw the sign for them. They didn't announce it ahead of time, at least not that I saw. I mean, I knew they were doing redemption packs because that's what John was wanting to do. He was buying some baseball boxes because he wanted to get some of the redemption packs for baseball. And so I went back there and while he was standing in line, and he's like, "Yeah, they have Star Wars ones." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So that wasn't even kind of in my game plan before the show started.
Yeah,
I know they did some.
I was watching somebody else who was breaking them, and they said they had Star Wars. I'm like, that's new and different.
And so the cool thing about them, there's one. The cool thing about them is they're basically promo cards for the Topps Chrome that's coming out in a week or so. So it's basically that's the Topps Chrome design, and then just the back of them just say the National.
Yeah, I mean I saw the card. So you pull this card, and how did you let people know, and how did you come back by like getting offers on the card?
Yeah, so within I don't know 20 minutes or so after I calmed down, I snapped a couple pictures of it. I put it on a couple of Facebook groups, and I also put it on my Instagram, which I have like 20 people that follow my Instagram, so I'm by no stretch a social media person. But I put a picture on my Instagram. I put a picture on a couple of the Facebook Star Wars card collecting groups, and on the national, there was a national kind of Facebook group, and I immediately started getting DMs, with offers and great, congratulations and et cetera, et cetera. So,
and what were the what were the offers?
Yes, yeah, it started out. The first couple were $1,000, and I did have one offer for $2,000. I went on. You go to eBay and 130 point. You try to find some comps. Cards like that you just have no idea how to comp them. But in my head, I had that it was a $4,000 to $5,000 card at least. That's just kind of the number that was in my head. So I just kind of told everybody, thanks for the offer. I'll, not sure what I'm going to do with it, blah, blah, blah. But then I did get one DM from a dealer that was actually set up at the show and said, hey, great card. I collect Star Wars stuff. If you don't mind, bring it by my booth in the morning and, we'll talk about it. And I might be interested in buying it if you're interested in selling it. So he gave me his booth number. And in the morning I went by and showed it to him, and, he's like, what are you wanting for it? And I was like, I just told him, I was like, I don't know. I was like, these things are hard to comp. I'm like, what are you thinking? And he said, well, it's probably about a $5,000 card if it gems out. And I said, well, that's about, that's where I was thinking. And so we just both, was a nice guy. I respected him just coming right out with a number. And I said, I think I'm going to go take it over to PSA, because PSA was offering on site. They had end of show grading, and then they also had same day grading. So I took it over to the PSA booth. I paid $350 to have it expedited, graded for the same day. And it gemmed out 10 Jim meant 10 for the card, Jim meant 10 for the auto. So it was a 10-10 beauty card.
What did you pay to get it graded?
$350. So the next day.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm in the card. At that time, I hadn't bought the second case of flagship. So at the time, I was in for about $1,000 plus another $350 to grade. So I was at $1,300, $1,350. But that doesn't count all the other cards that I had. So, and the first ones that I opened came from Chrome Black, and I actually pulled an of 25 Rosario Dawson auto out of the boxes too. So I thought
you bought that one. I didn't know you pulled that as well.
No, I pulled that. I was on fire. So I got the card back from PSA the next morning. I took it over to the dealer, and he's like, so are you comfortable with 5,000? I said, I was thinking about it. I was like, how about we do 5,500? I paid $350 to grade it. That kind of helps offset that. And he thought for about 2 seconds. I was like, sure, that's a deal. Whipped out the 5,500 in cash, and the rest is history. I think he was happy. I'm happy. I mean, maybe it's a $10,000 card. I don't know. I mean, I don't think so.
I have, me. I have my opinions on.
It's a sticker auto. It wasn't on card. It was a sticker auto.
I mean, you sold it already. I think you got double what that card should be worth. That's my opinion. I mean, that's listen. There are only 15 cards in that set, and I don't even know how many of those packs they made. Like, I don't know how to comp it. It's a 101, but it's a national 101. Wait, somebody's got a question for you. Sam, after getting out of the Amelia card, do you have an itch to own a different Amelia card?
I mean, sure. I'd love to have a Game of Thrones Amelia autograph, but that's out of my price range. Probably will never happen.
Well, that was my immediate thought when you got it. I was like, well, I was looking up Amelia Clark cards. Here's one that just sold, right? Here's one that just sold on eBay for was it $2,600? Too bad it's fake. That's not real. Sorry, I just had to see that while I was looking these up. But I mean, that's how I comped it. Obviously, it's a 101, but if you ask me, would I rather have a season 1,
right,
a season 2 Daenerys, or a season 1? Here's a season 1 Daenerys that sold for $1,700. I would much rather have that card than a Kira, not a beloved character. So, my feeling on that card is it should be worth $2,500. Like, it's rare, so it's
funny though, because I did have one person, because I asked the buyer. I was like, do you mind if I tell folks what the card sold for? And he's like, no, that's fine. And so I did tell some people some of the people that were at the show, what I sold it for, and I put it on our Discord group, and so word spread pretty quick what I sold it for. I did have a couple of people DM me, people I don't know, and were like, "Oh man, I'd have given you more than that for it," blah blah blah. So,
I mean,
take
listen,
that for what it's worth. But I was
no, I mean, I actually truly even believe that they believe they would say that, because it's so much easier to be willing to pay for something after somebody's already agreed to pay for it. You know, I don't mean they're lying. I just mean you're like, oh wait, somebody actually paid that. That means it's worth it. Therefore, I would be willing to pay more. It's kind of the idea of setting a market to begin with, is that you need that to be there. But Adwin was talking about would you want to own an Amelia Clark? That's would have been, I think I was talking to Sean about it after he hit it. It was like, that's what I would have done. I was thinking the 5,500, I would have put aside the money to buy either an Amelia Clark, or like I was looking for you. Like I was like, is that Rosario Dawson Stellar 101 still for sale? Because like if you could have just swapped it for something that like an utter grail card for you being an Ahsoka collector made sense. Like, I mean, if you came up with 10 grand more, I would have sold you the PSA 9 Ahsoka foil, but you saw that, right?
Yeah.
An Ahsoka foil rookie for sale for $35,000 on eBay. It's gone. Like it's gone. So they're no more for sale. So whatever you did at the National probably caused that sale, or whatever happened to it. Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, who knows?
I saw you were out there. You were showing that card off. Did you bring Did you? I'm surprised you didn't offer on that.
Yeah, I brought the 8 because that's the one that I have that I would part with for the right. But one comped on eBay recently, a PSA 8 foil Ahsoka for $1,750. I wouldn't sell mine for less than 2. Because and I know there's a comp. So
look at JB's asking what sold for 35. I mean, it was a private sale, JB. We cannot, the parties, yeah, but the parties have asked not to for us to talk about it. But yeah, the number 3 2008 Ahsoka foil sold for 35 something. Private sale between me and this guy in I can't talk about it. He owns a Korean restaurant. He got it for 35,000, but I'll probably buy it next week for 40,000. So it'll all work out, right? We're just literally shilling it up. That's all.
No, it's seriously though. That I think 2,000 is the right price for a PSA 8 now.
But you didn't have interest in that. I mean, it's just
I showed it to a handful of people, and it's still you get that. Oh, that's a cool card, but they still don't really understand. No. Everybody wants Galaxy Chrome, and
I get it. Like that was part of what I was saying earlier about what I saw of the people at the National. It's kind of like that ultra modern collector who likes shiny autograph, or you have the super vintage people, right? So it's like kind of, there isn't a lot in the middle, which is that's like, I think that if you came home with that card, it would have been really hard to sell. Like I'm of the opinion that people at the National, like, and maybe you can speak to this because I know it happens to me at a card show, is like you kind of lose your mind a little bit. You're like, I came here to spend fucking money. Like I didn't come here to look. Like I didn't take days off of work. I didn't, like I came here to buy. So, did you feel that way, or that you were able to control your emotions?
I was under pretty good control, Mike, to be real honest. I brought like $1,500 in cash, which isn't much to be taken to a National, but my goal was to sell some stuff. And then, hey, free money, I'll buy with whatever I sell. That's what I'll spend to buy. Well,
I mean, you bought a on day 2 for $1,050. Don't tell me you're under control. That's not under control. You did okay. Right.
But I didn't do that. The reason I say I'm under control is because I didn't do that immediately when I found out there were Star Wars redemption packs. It was the next day before I bought my case. That was Wednesday afternoon, and I found out about them. JB had bought some. I was kind of discouraged because at first, JB had bought, I don't know how many packs he had opened up. I sat and watched him. I mean, the cards are cool in them, but he didn't get any numbered cards or anything. We talked to some other people that were there. They had opened up a bunch of packs. Nothing was there. The only reason that I opened up those packs in my hotel room was because I went on eBay and I saw that somebody had pulled an of 5 Kenobi card. And so I was like, okay, so there are, because at that time, no one really knew, are there numbered cards in here? Nobody at that time knew there were autographs. But as soon as I saw that, yes, you could get a numbered card, I was like, okay, I'm going to open up some of these. But still, like most people, I think were disappointed in the packs because there weren't a whole lot of numbered cards pulled. And I think still there was the only thing I've seen on eBay, I saw a Tamara Morrison. Yep, there's the card. Beauty.
Yeah, I was able to find it in our chat.
Yep,
so if anybody or Discord or whatever, that's what it looks like. If anybody is wondering, I watched people open the regular sports ones of these, and it seemed pretty shitty. Like it seemed like
everyone.
Yeah, it was belly aching about them. So I mean, Star Wars. That's one of the benefits of like there probably weren't many of them. And it's high ceiling, low floor, right? Like,
the strange thing about him is like Kira isn't even in the set. She's not there. She's not one of the 15 cards. The Tamara Morrison auto that I saw, he's not in the set. And then the other one was Maz Kanata. Someone pulled a Maz Kanata auto, and I think it was a Superfractor 1/1 out of a silver pack. I think it's on eBay right now. So I mean, there's no checklist, so you don't know what you're really trying to get. Somebody told me that there was 2,000 packs is what a Topps rep had told them, which isn't a whole lot. So if you do 2,000 packs times 4, that's 8,000 cards. There's 15 cards in a set, about 525 print run of each card. So that's not, that's a pretty low print run. But that's, I don't know.
I just don't think, so AZ's putting this up. I think the 101 Mace Windu. So Card Collector 2, his very last purchase was the Mace Windu Samuel L. Jackson 1/1. He paid $2,100 for. So I mean, I assume that Emilia Clarke goes for more, even though that doesn't make any sense to me.
Right.
Because Mace Windu doesn't, I mean, there aren't a lot of his autos, right? So
Samuel L. Jackson's a bigger star than Emilia Clarke in my mind, but
well, and also he doesn't. I
sign a lot.
Yeah, there are some. I mean, just to here, I can share the screen here, and
she's a lot cuter though, so that's
right. But I'm just looking at like the availability and the cost. I mean, obviously, a price on eBay is not like you have a triple with. I mean, I'd probably rather have that auto than the one you got. It's out of 5. It's I mean, it isn't a 10-10, which is always nice, but I don't think it's the. I guess he was. This is the.
Yeah, that's the industry conference one.
Yeah. So 2000, the sticker autos from. He was in the Chrome Sapphire. You can get one for 900. So 650. Yeah, I mean, it seems in line, right? Like I personally would rather have the one, the Samuel L. Jackson, but the market would tell you that Emilia Clarke is worth more money. So I mean, AZ.
So I was to kind of wrap up
that auto. Unfortunately, I don't think Mace was a cut auto. I think it was a sticker. I don't think it's
not on the. If it came out of the silver pack, it wasn't a cut auto. But
I don't think so. I mean, could be right. I mean, listen, I don't know. I didn't look at the card, but it did look like a sticker. But again, I was more surprised because I was just watching the end of the video, and the guy was like 2,100, but sticker. He meant sticker. Yeah, they were all stickers. Like they were all sticker autos, which is a whole different argument why some things came out of that. But some of the other stuff that Neo, non-sports cards. I used to be sports cards and collectibles. I make fun of him. But he seems to put out some good information. But he did a video about what he was trying to buy at the National, and it's like, oh boy, he woke up and realized I'm just being an asshole because he was like after all the cards that I'm like, these are the good cards. If you're gonna buy this shit, this is what you buy. And he bought a Mark Hamill auto for I think he paid two grandish for the Mark 1977.
Yeah, he paid 2,000, I think is what he said.
Yeah,
maybe it was 22. I don't remember.
His comps were a little wonky because like we know people who like WQ just sold. Yeah, you bought one.
I bought one for 17.
It's a shame you bought WQs for cheaper from him.
Yeah.
And his was super clean. Like ultimately, if the card's not graded, the auto is graded at 10, but if the card's not graded, you want a centered, you want a centered PSA 6 or better in your mind. But thought it was cool. But yeah, the Robert Downey Jr.
Did you see Sports Card Dad's video today? I don't know whether you watch him or not, but he bought another Robert Downey Jr. card was on the Hakes auction last night, and he picked it up for $6,500.
On what auction?
It's called Hakes, Hakes. It's a big auction house. They do a lot of toy stuff, but they do a lot of comics and stuff. And the auctions ended last night.
I'll have to watch it. I mean, that's got to be careful. Got to be careful on that card.
It was graded. I mean, it's
no. There are it's that whole trading card graded thing. Is there some, the auto may be real, but the card may not be real. So if your card, that's why like your card was 10-10. So you got the card graded, so the card is authentic and whatever. You want to be kind of weary of like especially the Robert Downey Jr. There are some like custom cards that were made to look like it. So for Iron Man. So it's I hope that didn't happen. But 6,500 it's not the last one went for 5K. Like that was part of what Neo's thing where I'm like he was saying they go for more. No, that you've been able to buy them for like 5K. And the Ryan Reynolds you were able to buy for like 1,800 till last week. So and I was making fun of Sean because I'm like, I told you 50 times to buy that fucking card, and it's but the Ryan Reynolds are like 400 of those, so I would expect the market to kind of normalize on those. But it's good to see people being there, and Mama Breaks did make an appearance on Jeff Wilson, where it made me want to throw up. Listen, I hate.
He had no idea what he was kind of. Yeah,
well, he's making fun of Star Wars, so fuck him to begin with. But because he's a great card investor. But no, I just the idea that the ambassador for like the cards we're going to show off as a Star Wars card should not be a Kurosawa refractor or whatever it is. It's just zero.
Should be the Ahsoka PSA.
It just shows some knowledge, right? I mean, it's just I get it that if you're a breaker, listen, you want to talk about modern, ultra modern, because I want to talk about Galaxy that came out last year because I want to sell you Galaxy that comes out next month, and just be nobody watching this needs to know that, but that is the scam. She's an awful breaker. Listen, I just talk shit about everybody. I'm sure perfectly nice human, but doesn't know a goddamn thing about Star Wars cards. I mean, you bought her mystery packs, right?
I bought one. Yeah, just for giggles. Yeah.
I mean,
I had my Fanatics $30 free for having my PSA membership. So
listen,
I used that towards it. So
I got my $60 that I'm waiting to use. Hopefully, when the Chrome comes out, I'll use it for some sort of buying a character and a case break. So and did you ever end up selling your One Piece card that came from? I know you.
I did. Yeah, I had one sale that the guy backed out. I had for like $250. I ended up getting $200.
Wow,
cash too. I didn't have to go through eBay, so I did well. But I had the serial numbered magazine to go along with it, which some people care about. So that's sort of
are they all serial numbered or they're not?
The magazines are not. I mean, they do the same thing with the freaking magazines as they do with the cards now. There's different colored copies. Then there's serial numbers.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't sell my magazine with the card. I sold my card for $100. So essentially, if I ever use the break credit, I will have paid for my PSA.
Yeah,
But,
and that's yeah. But I mean, I think every month you're going to be able to sell the magazine for $20. They seem to sell every month for $20 if you want to go through.
I mean, I'm glad you guys told me, because I think whatever the month before, which I think might even have been Star Wars. I just threw it right in the trash.
Luke.
Yeah,
Luke.
I think. I must not have gotten it, because if I had gotten it, I would have thrown it straight in the trash.
The first one, the very first one that came out
what's the purpose of having breakers there? They have fan bases like Twitch streamers. 100%. That's exactly what it is. Is they have fans and followings, and it's just like
it was
or anything else.
They had a quarter of the showroom floor was nothing but breakers, and Whatnot was huge there. I mean, it was unbelievable. What was there? I mean, that was the reason my brother went up. He breaks on Whatnot. He does college football cards, the NIL cards called On It. I don't know if you guys have seen those, but he went up to meet some of the company people because he breaks for them, and they actually took us out to dinner one night, so it was pretty cool. But breaking was huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, I mean, that's the business right now. That's what it is. It's the gambling side, the breaking and the grading and all that other stuff. And I mean, I'm glad you guys had a good time. I really am, and I like I really wanted that video of you tugging the red wagon with like 40,000 cards, and then bringing it up to Cards HQ, and they'd be like, "The fuck am I gonna do with 200 Captain Rex rookie cards?"
Yeah,
wait a minute. Yeah, beloved hero. But I mean, it's
like I said, the funny thing in trade night, what I sold $300 worth of Wide Vision Clone Wars slabs. That was of the $500 I made on trade night. 300 of it was to one guy that he just loved them, and they do look great. And so he was tickled. I didn't make any money on them. I basically got my grading money back on them, plus a little bit. And I have all the ones that I have here. So I mean, it's mission accomplished. That's what I try to do. I try to grade 2 of everything and sell the 1 to pay for mine. I mean, that's kind of my whole collecting strategy. So.
Sure, and I do think that there's something to be said for. There are quite a few cards that, you're much more likely to buy them in person, like the Wide Vision, and that also gets into the chaos of I'm like, I know you're saying that you were pretty well controlled. Like, I'm well controlled, but like, if I'm going to invest the time to go to a show, I'm buying shit. Like, and I think the same thing can be said of other people. It's like, that person could be like, "Hey, I've never seen that before. I'm at National. Let me take it home with me." I would like to add.
That's where I got this. I mean, that was not on my list of things to buy. A 1930s Mickey Mouse card. I mean, I don't know, but I saw it in the case, and
Sam was sending pictures of cases, and you either you missed my response to one of them, or you ignored it, which is not like you. But there was a gold Han Solo in one of those cases where I was like, buy that fucking card. Like, it was a PSA 10.
I saw it.
Yeah, but you should have just bought it. Like, why didn't you buy it? I would have bought it. I would have bought it for you. I would have bought it had you buy it for me. PSA 10, those cards are very hard to PSA 10. So Sam's like, I bought it. Fuck you. He's like, I can see that face. He's like, I bought it, you fucking asshole.
Check your mailbox. Check your mailbox in 2 days.
Oh, my man said that's very. You see, you should never play poker with me.
Hey, I negotiated it down. I didn't even pay the sticker on it.
Oh, you did? I was like, he's asking 65. He has no idea what that. It's funny. Sean and I were talking. I'm like, he has no idea what that card is, because I can tell you. I can look at the cert number and go, this was graded 5 to 6 years ago when this was a $5 card. Like, I don't even think you can get a 10 on that. So awesome. Goodbye.
It's on its way to you.
That's fantastic. I have the same poker face, by the way. When it comes to gifts, you didn't have to do that. It was very sweet.
I threw that gold because I also, in one of those piles, I think I sent you a picture of the gold Andor. It's got Cassian and Jin on it.
Yeah, I couldn't tell what it was. I was just like, again,
Yeah, it's a gold. It was a Rogue One gold card with Cassian and Jin on it. Paid $5 for it, so it's in there too.
It's very sweet of you. I appreciate it. Like you did again. Really didn't have to. I wasn't telling you to buy that card for me.
I know.
Here, this has got to be Dan. Man, that's a local guy. I was going to see if he still had that tomorrow. Oh, that's Dan.
I got it. I said, "Hey, you take $40 for this?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." $40.
Again, I'll pick something.
That's cool. That's fine. But at the same time, that's after I hit the Amelia Clark. It's kind of like when you go to a casino and you win big at the beginning of the night. The pressure's off the rest of the weekend.
Right,
I was like, oh, my buddy wants a $40 card. I'm going to buy a $40.
I know the exact feeling.
It's like buying a round of drinks.
I mentioned this before. I went on a crazy poker. Like I was playing poker every day for a month, and I won a bunch of money. Like I was up more than your Amelia Clark, and I ended up giving a lot of it back. So I ended up about where you were. But I was like, my niece and nephew were getting like Venmos in the middle of the night. You just want to, when you do well, you want to share with people. And it's really nice. I mean, it says something about, you just want to share that stuff. So I get it. But no, Dan, you don't get Dan doesn't get to get it.
No shit.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
that dealer had a lot of the stuff we like in his case. I think they had several Game of Thrones autos and some other interesting stuff.
That card's just a weird card. Like the Force those Force Awakens cards, they don't hold up well. So if they didn't go, penny sleeve top loader, I have a couple of those cards, and I've gotten 7s and 6s, and was there anything you saw there that you wish you would have bought, or you wish you could have afforded, or like something that you didn't know about? Right? Of course, if you're going to the National, there's always going to be something you'd be like, oh, of course, I'd like to own that $3 million card there, but like something you were like, I didn't know I wanted it till I saw it, type of thing.
There were some. And this is where this goes back to me saying I was under control because I didn't get in, because you have to limit yourself in what you collect. And there was a lot of I like the older like pre-war card, non-sports cards, and there were like some of the Franklin Roosevelt, SGC3 or something like that. There were several cards like that I was like, maybe I should start picking up some of these, but I resisted, but because I don't. The reason I did was because I don't know a lot about them, so I didn't. Even if it was a couple $100, and since I was up, a couple $100 would have been an okay amount to spend on a card, but I still didn't feel like I knew enough about it to know whether that was a good price or not, because most of the prices there were not good. I mean, everything was over, especially the wax. That's what disappointed me the most was the wax. Because I like to open crap, right? But the wax was so overpriced. I mean, I found those chrome black boxes for $60 a piece, and that's where I pulled the Ahsoka from. So I did well, I bet, on the chrome black. But I mean,
I think
so basically
you get a little bit of what I was saying before you went, right? Like where it's like, it's not like, they say if you can't find it at the National, you can't find it. I'm like, not non-sports, like,
right.
And if you can find it, you probably could find it somewhere else cheaper. Again, it doesn't mean you shouldn't go. It just means like
that's one thing that they need to do that would be my suggestion for if they want to make it a better experience, because there was like at trade when we were sitting in line for trade night, we were talking to those other Star Wars collectors. That was sort of the conversation was, man, because I said, hey, we need to just someone pick a hotel ballroom somewhere in the middle of the country and let's just have a Star Wars show and have some fun. It wouldn't take much. And there could be a whole lot of nicer stuff than there is here, but there's not a whole lot of variety as far as, you got your ultra modern stuff, sports cards, you've got your vintage guys. And then, like even though we said there were a lot more non-sports stuff than that has been there in the past, apparently, there's still no, there's not 4 or 5 dealers that just deal in non-sports stuff, and they've got just case after case full of stuff. I mean, nothing. You had to scrounge to find what we found.
I wonder if I'm just looking up. It's like we have nobody watching us anymore. I'm like, did YouTube kick us off? I don't really care.
It looks like it's still streaming.
Yeah,
like it's still on.
It came back on. No, listen. There's a juxtaposition here of like, it was way better than when I went. So imagine that, right? When I went, there was a guy who had comics who also had a little bit of non-sport. It was all like sets. Like that's what I ended up buying was, hey, he had like a Magnum PI set. He had a Lost set. They were $10. I was like, fuck it. I'm here. I'll buy them. Like, I'm glad I did. They weren't bad prices. But
that's one of the things I was looking for. That guy wasn't there. There wasn't a guy that had old crappy. There was a few, but I was looking for that guy that had weird oddball sets for $10 a set. In the plastic 100 count plastic.
Yeah, when I looked at that guy's thing, the part of the reason I was there was like it was totally empty. I'm like, this guy can't be making money. Like, you know what I mean? It's a little bit of you got to sell what they want, and it's like that wasn't what and as I mentioned before, it's like when I don't know if you saw many like 77 cards, but when I was there were 2 vendors in the whole place who had them, and they were both wildly overpriced. They were almost like double comps.
I was seeing PSA. There was a lot of PSA Lukes in cases, but they were all, a PSA 7, which again, I'm still after a 7, $550 was what was on the PSA 7s. So, I mean, that's
tough because we always talk about like the buy it now on PSA 7 is kind of like between $400 and $500. Now the auctions are $325, so it's a little different, but I'm telling you, I saw one PSA 6 at the time. They wanted, I think, either $300 or $400 for it, and they were going for $150. And then one guy had like a PSA 9, and I think he wanted. When I was there, there was one guy who was like, I had a full case. He was the only guy who had Star Wars. He was like, I sold it all, and he had like 4 or 5 cards left, and it was like, a few thousand.
I did find a guy on the last day I was there. I think because I went back. I drove home Saturday night, and I actually drove back up Sunday morning. I was about 2.5 hours from Cleveland. I went ahead and drove back up Sunday morning because I had a situation with PSA I was dealing with, which that's a different story if you want to hear that. But so I did find a dealer that had some Star Wars cards out, and I was just like, oh, you got any other, vintage Star Wars stuff? And he had a stack of O-Pee-Chee cards that was like behind him. He didn't have them out. He just had a stack of O-Pee-Chee cards. And I went through those. I took out 5 or 6 of them, and, I think I paid $20 or $30 for a stack of O-Pee-Chee cards that are in pretty nice condition, but, the values aren't too terrible or too extravagant on those. But I don't have any, and they look like they were in good shape.
77 O-Pee-Chees is like, especially if they're any of the main cards, I got the Han rookie and the droid card number 2, and I think card number 4. I think. Yeah, they go for. In 5 or 6, it's like almost 2 grades different, like almost.
Yeah.
Like a 5, and that is kind of like a 7 or an 8. But can you give me the short version of what happened with PSA? What they did to you? Because
Yeah. So and I know, but so like my experience was so they announced right before the show. They announced that they were doing an carded autograph special for $19. You could get autograph authentication, and then for $26 you could get them encapsulated and everything. So I had an order ready to mail out of dual service, because I get cards graded or cards signed at shows and stuff like that. So I had an order ready to go. So I thought, well, shoot, I'll just do them online, drop them off. And it was end of show for like $26. So I was like, well, okay, I'll do that. So the first thing I did Wednesday, I ran straight to the PSA booth. I was 3rd or 4th in line, got these cards in. Well, as it turns out, with this and the guy that took the order, I'm like, this is gonna be the dual service, right? And get the card authenticated and the auto graded, right? Yep, that's what we're doing. Okay, want to make sure. Well, about halfway through the show, I found out that really what the special was for the blue label, to where it would say trading card, authentic autograph, which is not what I wanted. I mean, so I had 20 cards, 2 different orders of 10, and they were able. I went back and I was like, listen, this isn't what I want. We need to stop. Then we need, because I want the dual service autograph. And they were great. They worked with me great. I will say this: all those people at PSA were working their tail off. I mean, that booth was jam packed from Wednesday morning till Sunday at the end of the show. I mean, it was packed the whole time. That is just. But I did decide.
Were those cards meant to be graded while they're there, or were you just dropping them off?
Yeah, on site grading, picked up by the end of the show.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, that's what the autograph special was, end of show grading. But I figured, hey, if I'm third in line, I'll probably get them Friday or Saturday, because I should be at the beginning of the line of getting stuff graded, But so they were able to get 10 of the cards back to me, canceled the order, no problem. Another 10 of them had already been encapsulated by the time they found them and everything. But they agreed, they took care of me, like I said. So they said, okay, yeah, that we understand this isn't what you wanted. So we're going to take these cards, we're going to do a new order, and we're going to take them back with us. We'll do the dual submission. We're not going to charge you for this order and stuff. So they were great, but it took me 2 or 3 times of standing in line and getting to the front of the counter and explaining the situation and to get it all right. But the neat thing was, hold on, he dropped it.
Sam does not mind waiting.
The ladies.
Me.
One of the ladies. I got this cool PSA backpack. Did we lose
you're
you?
breaking up a little bit. I don't know.
To me, part of when you go to these things, you just gotta
get swag.
When you go to these things, you just waiting in line's part of it. Oh yeah, man, I got here. You want some Arena Club swag? I got some Arena Club.
I've waited enough. I don't know what happened to your internet. Like all of a sudden, you're all pixelated, I guess is the word. So no, listen. I'm just to each their own, right? Like this was the conversation I had with other people, which is you're there, you're happy. I'm happy for you. Me there, I would have been addition by subtraction. If I was there, I would have made your time worse. I'd have been like, these motherfuckers, 2 hours in a goddamn line. I would have, but again, I'm glad you guys had a good time. JB said he had a great time, and you hit a big card, and you did well, and you got. Did you open all your flagship blasters and everything, or your flagship hobby?
Yeah, I saved those. Yeah, I saved those, and I brought them home, and my wife and son and I all opened them up together. So we did some family bonding out of it. I did pull an Ahsoka card that I didn't have, the Clone Wars poster 3D. I don't know what they call it, but it was. Yeah, it's the one where the fire's behind her from Clone Wars. But yeah, it was. I pulled one of those, so I got something out of it. But I haven't put them in order yet. I'm going to, end up with 12 sets of them that, maybe I get $10 a piece for them. Who knows?
Well, I want to drop a little knowledge. People who watch this, and I want to, I actually may try to do a little more content, just because I enjoy it. And I talked to Sean the other night for 11 hours, and I was like, Jesus Christ, why don't I just do a show? And so we found this card the other day, and I just want to share it to people who are watching and share it with you. Maybe I'll pick one up for you, but this is just drop a little knowledge that I started keeping it all to myself. So I said to myself the other day, hey, I'm a big fan of first serial numbered card of Big IP. You got it, JB. I'm on it. And I was like, is there a Hugh Jackman serial numbered card? And the answer was no, there isn't. And then it was like, wait a minute, maybe there is. So this here is from 2009 Wolverines Origin. It's numbered out of 600. This was a case topper. So this is the very first and maybe and likely the only Wolverine serial numbered card. Hugh Jackman, right? Like there's so, and you get them for $20. This is $20 sealed, and I think this might even be free shipping. Just an absolute utter steal. So this is just a little, whatever you want to call it, like a gift from me to you people. You don't have to buy it, but I can't think of to give you an idea. There were 400 Ryan Reynolds autographs. There are only 600 of these. Are they the same thing? No. But these are $20 and those are 8,000. So do with it what you will. So I thought I would just pass that along to you, Sam.
That's cool.
That's
cool.
So I have one on the way to me. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna open it and get it graded because that's just what I do. Maybe, I don't know. I put in a new PSA order yesterday to try to get under the wire of the special, and then they just continued the special but dropped the declared value by $50. And
yeah, I was thinking about that. If it's $150 for the special now, like you got to really be sure it's going to get a good grade. Otherwise, I mean, if you get a 8 or a 9, and because if you're grading a card that's only worth $150, I mean, man, that narrows down the pool of what you can send in on that special, at least in my opinion.
And I also believe that they want it both ways because they want you to basically declare the value, but if they lose it or fuck it up, they're going to pay you the raw card value, but then they want to the declared value on the grading is with the grading. So I'm like, yeah, all these cards are under $150 raw. And they're like, oh yeah, but if we give us a 10, it should be upcharged. And I don't really know. The stuff I'm sending is, I've just learned that there are cards, I'm just grading cards for the most part that I want to sell. And that almost any grade I get, I'll make money. Like anything above 6, I will make money. I try not to grade stuff that I need a 10 to be worthwhile. And it's stuff that they can't price, right? It's I sold a few, like a handful of slabs of just like MCU stuff, like Wolverine. I sold to Ryan Reynolds. I sold some Batman, the Dark Knight stuff, and I'm just like, all right, I'll just grade more of that. Yeah. Did you sold that lunatic who's buying those Ahsoka cards, one of your Ahsoka cards?
Yeah, and I didn't even have 2 of them, but did I get $500? I can't remember.
500?
Maybe I forget what. Hang
on.
Oh
no, that was the sticker one. I'm talking about I sold him hey, I don't want to be a lunatic because truth is, I said this to people I talk about. Maybe you know something I don't know. Somebody starts buying up cards that you're like, I don't understand why you're paying what you're paying. Maybe you know something I don't know. As it relates to Clone Wars 2008, the truth is, and you would know this better than me, there doesn't seem to be any retail out there, right? Like even when there's boxes and stuff, it's all hobby. Like there isn't really retail out there. So maybe
it's a cool card. Yeah, I got $500 for mine. Yeah, I just checked my PayPal. Yeah, it's $500
for the foil, the number 3.
For the foil, no, not the number 3. The retail insert, the one that guy's
also number 3. It's also number 3. They're both number 3.
Yes. Yeah, but the retail insert number 3. That's what I'm gonna double check. I want to say it was an 8.5.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
it was the highest one I had. I sold the one out of my PC. I mean, I think I've got a 6 or a 7 left. But I mean, I was like, hell, for $500 here, he can have it. I mean,
that was my thought as well.
And that's some of the money I took to the National with me. That was part of the reason I did it too. Was I was trying to get a little bit of cash flow going for the national. So yeah, I can't find the picture, but I'm pretty sure it's like an 8.5 or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up because I don't
Popcorn,
think
you know, he's
uh,
yeah. I did, and that was the other thing. It wasn't on eBay. Popcorn knows the guy, and I said, "Hey, I've got one," and he said, "Well, let me reach out to him," and so it was all done
oh, it wasn't even on eBay.
offline. So there was no fees, nothing. So it worked out great.
I'm looking it up right now.
I sent popcorn. I sent
I
popcorn.
think I would assume it was a 9. I would assume it was a 9 because there are no 8.5 and there are only 3 9s. So this guy has to own most of them at this point, right? Like that's just the just he's bought them all up. I just bought another set, so I picked up a set because I
saw that.
Yeah, I was able to swing that, so that was my thought. I always will do. That's exactly what I sold a Wolverine PSA card, and I sold a Ryan Reynolds Deadpool PSA card, and I was like, okay, sold it, bought another one, and I'll grade that one. Maybe it'll come out better, maybe it'll come out worse, but at least I will still have exposure to the card, right? Like that's the. All right. I mean, if you want me to just give you want me to, should I give them more free money?
It was a 9. It was a 9.
Here, I'll give away more free money.
You know what? It wasn't the one that you sold. It was the sticker. It was.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's different. No, I sold the foil that comes out of retail. You know what I'm talking? You know the card I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The sideways one, the horizontal one.
Yeah. Again, I was like, hey, you want to pay it? Here,
I mean, that's a cool card, but I mean, that's what I was like, hey.
I'm mad. Like I said, maybe you know something about
$500.
Here's rule number 1. If you want to flip cards, do not grade them in CGC. I'm sorry, Dan, but like it's just the truth. These are Ryan Reynolds. So if people want me to give you, I'll give you one more tip. This one I've given before. So sometimes people just don't want to listen to me, which is perfectly fine until, So this is the casting call set from Wolverine, which has the first Wade Wilson card here. And you can buy a set for $15. The pop in PSA is 4. And the highest, I believe, is an 8. So I think there are 2 8s, a 7, and a 6. And 3 of those are me. And yeah. So if people, I'm not telling you, don't go buy 10 sets and grade 10 of them and expect to get money. But if you want to buy one and put it in your next order, you're not going to, I'm not going to give you any guarantees, but I don't think you're going to lose money. And those are kind of the simple things. So I just bought one of these. That's what I've been up to. And you can see it. I don't have my screen up, but these cards are, they sell for a few dollars a piece. But
I'll tell you the other thing I bought at the National that I found on a random table that I think I did okay on was the South Park insert set. The
Kenny Chase cards, yeah.
So these were rubber banded together, all 6 cards, rubber banded together in like a bin full of non-sports stuff. It had been rubber band together so long. As soon as I picked it up, the rubber band disintegrated. But what do you think I paid for that set?
$20. I mean, I'm guessing low because of the way you're presenting it.
$8.
It's one of those. One of those cards that I only own one of them. I only own one of them because I bought a set and they're like it was just in there, and I'm like, do I want to buy the rest of them? Like people just don't like. Here's a set for 120 on eBay. The problem with those is like anything else. It's like they're really cool, but nobody understands what the hell they are, right? And to actually sell it, it's just one of those things you just throw. What's this? What are the booths of non-sports companies like Rittenhouse or Crypto So if they're, I mean, I don't think so. They don't. They barely have booths
No.
at the
Leaf,
non-sports cars.
you had Leaf. Yeah, Leaf and Wild Card were about the closest thing to non-sports there.
By the way, for anybody who's trying to understand, these are the many deaths of Kenny. They were the chase cards in this set, and they're hard to find. Like I said, I don't have that. I have one. I've just never thought about buying them. But like the other tips that I give people, like that tip we were given before, is like those are super simple and liquid, right? Like those are just, hey, you buy a car for $12, you grade it for 15. If you get a good grade, it's 100. If you get 10, it's a few $100 card. It's a 9, it's a $100 card. It's literally the old Ahsoka model, right? When you used to be able to buy an Ahsoka and you'd be like, all right, I grade this, I get a 9, it's a couple $100, an 8's $100, 7, I can get my shit out of it. Same thing. But the Kennys here is like you could grade those and get 10s and put them about $100, and still they probably wouldn't sell because nobody, and they're awesome, right? Like I'm not, that's the hard. Like yet again, why if I grade, I'm graded. That's what I'm grading. Like I'm grading Spider-Man, Batman, Wolverine, like just shit like that. So let me see if there's. So what else do you want to talk about, Sam? Because if you want to hear my opinion on anything, I'm happy to give it.
I did arena. So in the VIP package, there's like lots of coupons and ads and stuff. They had Topps didn't have anything, but there were promo packs for Panini basketball, which had a Caitlin Clark card. Those were hot. I mean, so like right off the bat, I sold my because you got 12 autographs with the VIP pass, and they were people that I were no interested in. Sold that for $25 when I sat down in the VIP room. There was guys walking around going, who doesn't want their autographs? And they were buying up your autograph tickets. So, and then I ended up selling my Panini pack that had the Caitlin Clark card on it for like $40. They're going for like 50 on eBay right now. But, so, but the point of the story is you could get the VIP pass. You can at least pay for half of it with the free stuff that they give you. So
Sure.
by selling it just there, and it's easy. I mean, the people are walking around the room going, "Hey, is anyone selling this?" And you go, "Yeah, I don't." JB had 2 parking passes because his son was with him. Sold a parking pass, while he was, so you can recoup your money.
100% agree. Like if I went back, I would go VIP for no other reason than, like I think I told you beforehand, you can sit down. Like I don't know what it was like upstairs, but like in Atlantic City, they didn't have nearly as many seats as they did because they had like a place where food where people could sit down, and I'm sure it was always taken. But like in Atlantic City, there was nowhere to sit down. And if you're a little bit older and a little bit heavier, and you've been walking for 4 fucking hours, you will pay to sit in a chair for 20 minutes. And
that was where I was the grumpy old man was because they had plenty of food trucks. Like from what I have gathered by talking to other people, like the food options and the ability to sit down was better than any other national that they have had. But the problem was all of these, I called them, wannabe YouTubers and wannabe dealers. I saw one kid literally brought in a display case and sat it down at the concession area on one of the tables, loaded up his cards, and it was like a mini card.
I mean, there was something that was said beforehand that they were going to eject people from that did that stuff, and then you'd be banned from the event. And they just have to enforce that because like that's what trade nights for.
Which they weren't. I mean, they had signs up.
Yeah, I mean,
signs up, and like I even like went up. I'm sorry. I went up to a couple people. And I'm like, "Hey, are you guys eating? Because I need to. I had my slice of pizza and my lemonade, and I'm like, I'd like to sit down and eat my lunch. Are you guys eating? No. Why don't you move? I mean, I was that guy, and you know, a couple of them just kind of look at you, and then, but eventually, so you know, there was someone who's like, "Hey guys, yeah, we should probably move along," and people would get up and go.
I mean,
but yeah, it was.
They didn't even have that to eat. So the only way, some dealers would have chairs. So I would sit down and go through their cards, and I'd buy a couple cards, even if I didn't want them, because I was just like, oh, a goddamn chair is like my friend. At the time, I had some sort of like knee issue, and I was like, oh. But yeah, I mean, Well, I meant in general. Was there any other stuff you want to talk about? Like, I mean, we got now that high-end wax is worthless because we can use CT scans. PSA is an actual absolute trash fest. PSA is an absolute trash fest. I'm this is where I'm at with PSA. I am going to start selling my cards. Like a majority of, I'm actually may even like some of my biggest cards are probably going to go up for sale because of the mistakes they're making. You saw what they did with
so you're referring to Sean's Scanlon's?
Yeah, but I mean, it's just another data point. There are other data points out there, but like it's just the continuation of this. Sean had other things in his orders like that were out there, and I have other things in my. It's just I've said this for a long time. Having a lot of money tied up in something because it's a grade higher. Like if you own a 9 and it's worth 5,000 and an 8's worth 1,000, that's a mistake right now. And I don't think there's any data point that makes you feel more comfortable about that. But that's just me. Old man yells at cloud again about grading. But yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm probably going to sell some of my biggest cards because I don't believe in the grading process anymore. But I think the reason that matters is like the reason that it's related to CT, and we can go into the CT scan, is that, you know, when people first heard about the CT scan, they're like, that's a bunch of bullshit, right? Like, and then now you're like, oh, fuck. Like, and people are like, it's too expensive. And then the price came down by like 80% in 2 weeks. And was there any conversation of that stuff at the National, or was that kind of out of sight, out of mind?
That was kind of out of sight, out of mind. I mean, you'd hear a little bit here and there about it. But, you know, it kind of wasn't. I think those posts where the companies are coming out and doing it for $75 a pack or whatever they're doing it now, I think that kind of came right at the end of the week. So it wasn't, you know, because that's a reasonable, you know, if you've got a high end product, you know, heck, it's worth $75 to see what's in there. You know,
I think more of I'm a big breaker, right? Like if I'm an unscrupulous breaker, right? Like I'm breaker XYZ. I'm buying a fucking CT. Like if I'm doing $50 million a year in breaks, I'm buying a CT scanner. Like if you're a scumbag, but like, you know how this works is that the first guy's a scumbag. The second guy's like, I don't have a choice because that scumbag over there, you know, and that's how markets work. So like,
and the bad thing is about this, I mean, most things that happen, there's countermeasures that can be done to kind of offset it. I don't see what Topps or Panini's going to be. What are they going to like start putting their boxes in like lead boxes or something? I mean, I don't know what the heck they could do to offset
going forward. They'll be able to solve it. I do. I actually believe that like, if nothing more, I bet you they can put something on a box that if it is CT scan, it changes color, right? Like some sort of sticker where it's like, oh, when this happens, it changes color. And it's like, you know, like almost like a seal on something. But going backward, you own high-end wax, that's, you know, over $1,000 a box, man, I would just be running for the damn exits. You know, that's but that has in comic books, you know, the CGC had the scandal. It didn't ruin comic books, but at first people are like, this is terrible and it'll probably kill everything. And the market did go down, but it was like what preceded a huge slide in the market. And I don't think that it happens necessarily to cards overall, but I think high-end sealed wax, I know I would never feel comfortable to begin with, but now I certainly would
I mean, and you can actually think about, you know, some positive aspects to it. Like you go back to the oh shoot, the guy that's fighting Mike Tyson, that bought the case
Yeah,
of
when he bought that, he
Pokemon.
bought the case.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
mean, you know, would it have been wise for him to say, "Hey, well, let's put it through this CT scanner, make sure these are Pokemon cards before I buy them," you know, something. So
yeah,
there is some
that is
positive
yeah, but
possibilities.
it's like there requires too much trust. That's the only thing, and even in that instance, it's like yeah, but you're not going to look at what cards are in there. You're just going to make sure there's Pokemon cards in there. You're not going to
Yeah.
look which ones are in there. Like it's just like there's really no. Again, I this is what technology is, and this is like how it relates to grading is what I've always said is like, hey, something is going to come along in grading that is better, right? It's just going to be more accurate. Like all of the things that we pick on PSA about are going to be solved by technology, and when they are, your current graded cards are going to take a they're going to be not so dissimilar from when the old dealers were like, no, this one's mint, this one's near mint. And you're like, what do you mean? He's like, I've been looking at cards forever. And be like, well, I don't trust you. That's what's going to happen to PSA slabs. Whether it's 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, it's going to happen. And I've never been more certain of it because of something like this. Because I didn't see this coming. Like I didn't see CT scan coming, whereas the PSA.
I didn't know that CT scanners were available for, you know, non-hospitals, but I mean apparently you can go on eBay and buy a CT scanner now. I mean, I don't know.
Again, I've never thought about like honestly, I don't know how a CT scanner works. I didn't know that you could look at it from that angle, right?
Yeah.
So technology is coming for the hobby.
I did pick up my Donald Trump fuckface card. There was a lot of stuff like that floating around. There you go.
You buy anything. Sam's will buy anything.
Look at that. Isn't that awesome?
Anything. It's all right. I've got my Kamala Harris cut autos. I've got my signed signed Commerce. It's Commerce. It's a piece of a Chuck Taylor that's cut and put in a slab, and then she signed it, and it's I think 1 out of 48 or something like that. Because guys, I'm making this all up. So, no, because Sam's will buy anything. Good, no good.
Well, that's again, it's that because you know I'm walking around the casino and I'm up, right? So it's like, oh, okay, those 3 cards for $10. Yeah, I'll buy 3 of those for $10.
Well, and like I said, I do think that is a bit of the national fever. It's like I'm here,
yes.
And like if I were on eBay and looking at those things, I'd be like, who the fuck's gonna buy them? But I'm here, and I'll just pick it up. So I'm in.
Yeah.
I get it, and the card shows that I've gone to recently, and when I get that fever, I end up buying the stuff that's not cards. I would buy video games or movies. Because I'm like, there's one guy selling them. Like, I'm probably not getting a good deal, but at least I don't know I'm not getting a good deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's some ignorance is bliss mentality. And I wonder if that doesn't happen with people at the National about like non-sports cards. They're like, you know what? I don't know if that's a good deal on this Luke Skywalker, but you know, I guess eBay ruins all that. Where you're just like, I just look it up and pick it off.
Yeah, I picked up here. I was going to send this to you, but it wouldn't fit in the thing because I know that's your favorite company. So I did
still banned, but
so that's a little stress ball that they were giving out there.
Still banned. Yeah, there's some interesting things that there's a case of Rogue One hobby up for sale. And
I saw that. And I've noticed there's not much chatter on our Discord about it. I'm going to assume there's 2 or 3 of you guys. I hope you guys have set a price and done a gentleman's agreement on it. I don't know.
I mean, we were talking all sorts of things. I think I'm actually out. I mean, now we were talking about. I mean, the reason I even bring it up because I mentioned it to the usual suspects. And I was like, you know what? If we get it at the right price, we don't want all the boxes. I'm sure like you or JB would want to buy. Like,
I'll take a box.
Yeah, at the right price. Like, but I thought about it because I'm looking at some things here. I'm like, I don't want it. Like, I went like Sean was trying to heavy, talk me into it because he's like, I'm in for 4 boxes. You buy 4 boxes. Peter buys 4 boxes. We're in. I'm like, listen, here are the odds of me hitting a card I want. I'm like, and then I just got an offer on some Marvel cards. I'm like, I could buy 2 boxes of that, or I could buy this whole set of serial numbered Marvel cards, like that are. I'm just too rational, I guess. Is the
Yeah. What do you think of the? I mean, see, again, that's something I was looking at, and I'm like, I don't even know what a box of. I know the stuff doesn't come up very often, but I'm like, I don't even know what a box of that should go for, let alone 12 of them. Yeah, is it a couple $100?
JB, I will. He says that 1,600. I'm not going to give that on public because I don't want to drive the price up. Simple as that. The normal price is $300 to $350 a box. I will also say on that case, I shouldn't talk about it because like it just costs myself money if I do decide it or other people. But this is more the idea is that the underside of that case looks bad, and I'm not a guy. This is not my world. I don't buy cases. Like I know you haven't bought many cases either. But so here. Hopefully it'll show up. Maybe here it is. But is this the one? Yeah. So it's at 1560 now. This is the. Can you see that bottom of that picture?
Oh yeah, kind of. It almost looks like it was wet.
But there's no.
There's
that tape is not there, right? Like that. There's no
right.
tape here. Like how is that a seal? Like I don't know. I mean, the reason that matters, folks, is that if it's a Franken case and somebody pulled all the good hits and then just put some boxes together, nobody wants to pay. In theory, a sealed case actually might be worth more than 12 boxes. That sealed case does not look like it should be.
Well, the only thought I would have to that would be, but who's going to fake a case of Rogue One series? You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that there's not Rogue One in there. It would be more likely that literally they had, multiple cases and pulled it through, or just simply it's a Franken case, right? It's not a true seal case, not even anything malicious. Just, again, to speculate on the price, which I don't want to do, but I'll do it anyway. I think it'll come down to whether breakers get involved. Collectors should not go.
I don't think any breakers break that. So I mean,
that's the hope, right? Let's just say I'm going higher than what it's sitting at. So like, it's not selling for what it's selling for. I don't know if I'd go too much crazier than that. I don't think there's the one part about it is that nobody knows if the Cassian 101's ever been pulled. So
that's the tempting part.
Yeah, I mean, I like again talking it through. The Jin autos are redemptions, and so you're not really gonna get your money back from autos. And if you like sketches, it's cool for you. But I don't know. If me, Mr. Rogue One, is telling you maybe don't buy it, maybe don't buy it. Clone Wars. Like Clone Wars, you get what 1 point something foils per box. It's more than one per box, right?
Yeah.
With this, you get 0.5 golds per box. So you're gonna get like six
maybe 7.
Yes, somewhere to 6 to 8 golds in the box, and then so in the case, it's just it's like odds are you could open the whole case and lose 80% of your money. The only way to make your money truly back is to hit a 1-on-1 of 5 to 10 cards. I really would say 5. It just would be heartbreaking for me if somebody else bought it. And
you got to take a stab at it. You got to take.
I'm a little okay on it, right? Like I do. Like this is one of those ones of I want somebody I know to buy it. But I don't.
Well, like I said, if someone in our group, does buy it and they want to divvy out a couple boxes to help rotate off, I mean, I'd buy a box to help the cause just for giggles.
I mean, I don't think it'd be hard to. I mean, you could just do it on eBay, right? Like, I mean, obviously it would be better that way, but I mean, on eBay you could take yours out. You could probably make some money. I mean, the smart move here is to buy this case, throw it in the closet, and forget you had it, right? Like, I've never seen one. Been collecting Rogue One for years. Never seen a sealed Series 1 case. Never. So, but
Well,
yeah.
you know what happens though too. If this one sells for $2,000, maybe 2 more cases pop up in the next month. You never know. I mean, sometimes that's what it takes to shake them loose.
Can't argue against that other than the idea that like didn't work when the boxes were coming out and selling for over $350. You would think if somebody had a case that I just don't think it's going to go for a lot.
It's true.
That's my yeah. I mean that's pretty much what's going on here. Everything else I'm going to have to say is everything is negative. The hobby's terrible. Everything's going to zero.
I tell you what, it was packed in Cleveland. I mean, it was the crowds were heavy. So
I agree, but that's like wondering if people still believe in Christ when you go to a mega church, right? Like you're like, look at all these people here. Like everybody still is religious. And I don't mean that negatively. I just mean like
I know what you mean.
It's if there aren't a bunch of people there who like cards, then yeah. Again,
I can honestly say though that I was a little discouraged by, and I've heard this argument for a lot of like the content creators, why a lot of people don't like the content creators. And before I was always like, what's the big deal? They're not hurting anything. But at the National, I did I don't know how many collectors there are anymore. You know what I mean? Like it is so much about seeing if you can buy a card for 20% under comp so that you can go sell it for comp and then make 20%. I mean, that is such the mentality of the kid. Like you should have seen the cards that these kids were walking around with and their Zion cases and stuff. I mean, watching money.
Listen, I saw it on the, you see it on the internet all the time. And again, I do think that you can't help but collect. When I was a kid, I was like, this Canseco's worth $40, right? Like kids are fascinated with money and shiny things. They don't have their own money. Like, I was fascinated with it. So I think that's part of it. I think it's more of I think they're I think you have to be careful about them slaughtering or leading people to slaughter. And that's the part like we were talking about Mama Breaks earlier. And I'm not picking on her particularly. It's just the idea of like educating the person who's watching. So maybe they become more of a collector, but ultimately it's a business, right? And they just want customers. They don't want collectors. They want customers. And can you blame them? No.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, I'm out to make a buck. I mean, really the money that I came home with from the Akira card paid for past sins is really what that did. That just kind of got me back to where I can go, okay, boy, I dodged a couple bullets there on some, stuff that I shouldn't have bought, so it sort of kind of reset me back to zero basically, after, with what I spent, what I came home with. So,
I get it. Nobody wanted to buy your Napoleon Dynamite PSA 10s for.
I've had a couple $100 on them. You wouldn't believe though the amount of people are like, "Oh my god, it's so cool! I didn't know they make." I mean, that's the thing.
I agree. Those are cards like that's where my head's at with a lot of stuff. Is like, you know what? You could probably sell them for $60, right? And you do well. Like it's part of the thing of like I think that market is doing well. Like there are people who want to collect and want cool stuff. They just don't want to spend $200 on something like that. And then go realize, oh shit, I could have bought a box for $30 and
well, the whole my thought process on those the Napoleon Dynamite cards is I really don't want to get rid of it. I mean, they're really in my PC, but I pulled them out just to kind of take and hey, if someone's going to hand me the money, I'll take it. But those particular cards, yeah, I do think that we kind of make a mistake in overpricing some of our stuff just because the knowledge just isn't quite there yet. I mean, I think we're close, but that's some of the cards I'm talking about grading is all right. If I grade a Wolverine and I get a 7 or an 8, I can still get my money out of it.
Like if I grade certain other cards where there's a lot of them, no, I can't. So you're better off like even like in a Napoleon Dynamite. If it was in a 7, you could probably sell for $20. Like it's there's like you have to kind of and I do think that we overprice things, but that's the idea of like go ahead and grade a couple and sell the shit ones and keep the good ones, like or whatever. Or if somebody wants to overpay you for a good one,
That's what I did with this Mickey Mouse card. I traded a PSA 9 Tony Soprano. Well, I mean, I've got 2 more of them, and so it was an even trade for this. Now, I mean, why not?
That Tony card, like, I mean, I don't know what was that? What did you value the PSA 9 at?
I think I had $60 on it. I put a price tag on it, which was
too low for the national, right? Like that's the perfect type of card that at the national, like we talked about a year ago. A year ago, if you had a pile of Ahsoka rookies, you could have sold them all day. You could have a stack of 50 of them, and you could have sold them last year. Now that's the type of card that it's $100 all day, just as like an advertisement. Somebody walks by the case and they see $100 Tony Soprano PSA 9 rookie. And they go on eBay and they're like, they want 3,000 for a 10. I'm in. Like, that's again, I'm not
but the way I look at it, I bought the set for $10. I took the Tony Soprano out and graded it, so I've got $30 in it, and now I turned that into this 1930s Mickey Mouse card.
I'm with you. I just sold a Daenerys base rookie PSA 10. So I sold it. I was on the phone with Sean, haggling back and forth. They offered 140, and I'm like, Sean, I'm not taking it. I'm like, I'll take 160. He's like, fuck you, no, just take it. And he's like, I'm like, no. He's like, I have 2 pack pulled base ones. I'm just going to mail to you. And it will cost you more money to buy 2 bases than this argument. I'm like, all right, if you're going to do that, fine. So he's sending me 2 pack pulled Daenerys's, and I'll just grade those. But I would never, I wouldn't. I think that card's worth more money, but like, there's some element to it. Like, let's just get them flowing. Like, I don't know.
Right.
Right.
We need, like I'm so happy that Dan sold the PSA 8 Ahsoka foil for $1,750 on eBay. So bam, at least there's a comp out there. At least we have a starting point now.
I mean, I think if somebody walked up, like, I don't think you want to sell yours as much as you want to sell yours.
I will for 2,000. I will for 2,000.
I don't even know. I mean, I believe you until you're faced with it. There are cards I have that I have price tags on that if somebody says, they'll pay the price, I'll be like, I don't know. Maybe
no, I would. I honestly would, because I've still got the 9, and my whole purpose, I overpaid for the 8, which it is what it is. It's I still feel like I did good for what the card is, but I was able to get the second one dirt cheap, and it graded a 9. So if I sell this one for 2, I'm in my 9 for still a good price. You know what I mean? So
I understand the rationale, but I don't think you're going to sell it. I really think you were.
I mean, I'm not putting it on eBay.
Right. That's what I was going to say. If you're at the national and somebody's like, some dealer's like, I'll give you 2 for it, you would probably say yes, because you would want to be a man of your word and say, I just told him 2,000. I can't change my mind now.
No, I actually am talking right now with a repacker or with someone that does repacks, and I've told them this is the card you need to advertise as the number 1 chase in your 100 card repack or whatever. And if he wants to pay me $2,000 for it, he can do that. I'll sell it to him.
You should have told me. I wouldn't have taken down I wouldn't have made that sale be a private sale, and that one for I did that for I have a lot of fun with that.
I saw. Yeah, I saw.
I was like, Sam's at the national. I'm going to add $10,000 to this.
I saw that.
I have like the biggest grin I get like during any week is when I take something like that, or I list it, and then I do the no offers. Like that is
Yeah.
it is such a power move that is not a real power move, but it feels like such a power move because you're just like, no, I'm not fishing for offers, buddy. This is what, and I really am just fucking with the market.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm imagining you there talking Star Wars collectors. You're like, this is an awesome car, $2,000, and they're like, whatever. They go look it up on eBay, and they're like, there's only one. The guy wants $35,000. I don't know what the fuck's going on here. Maybe I should buy it. That is.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I
I watch
yeah.
it happen all the time. I watch it happen because you know where I watch it happen? I watch it happen with myself, where I'm like, I don't fucking need that. And then you're like, well, wait a minute. Like the Ryan Reynolds is a perfect example of like, I was never buying it, but I should have bought it. Like it was not a complicated play. He's actually more popular than Hugh Jackman, and he was cheaper at the time. But I have the opposite opinion on the Robert Downey Jr. now. It's funny because you said Dustin or Justin. I can never get his name right. Dustin, the sports car dad, bought one. I'm not. I thought that was the number one non-sports auto that you should own. But now he's coming back, and Fanatics is getting Marvel. I think.
There's gonna be more of them. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was always my number one argument. He's uber rich, so he's not going to do signings, and he's not going to be in any movies like this anymore. And now that's all wrong. So
yeah, but I'd say though more than likely what comes out in the future will be stickers. I mean, he'll just.
I think there will be a lot of stickers, but I think they will get something like Stellar. Like they'll get some on-card stuff from him.
Maybe.
Like, and who knows? I don't know. There was some discussion in our Discord about the Hamill auto, about what it costs and like the demand. And I turned out to be right about that a little bit, right and wrong, which is I was right that he was going to continue to sign and wrong that the price wouldn't be that strong. The price is strong.
Yeah, the demand is still there. I mean, I think he could do 3 more signings and it wouldn't meet the demand. Agreed. But
the moment he goes beyond 3,
well,
that's the issue. Is that the moment you saturate the market beyond demand, the price tumbles.
It's I mean, it's a gamble. Like I said, I was supposed to go to a show this year and get a Carl Weathers card signed. Well, guess what? He passed away. So there were Carl Weathers signed cards at the National. They were wanting $600 for him. I mean, he was when he was signing, it was $140. I think to get.
I'm an evil son of a bitch. I don't really factor in more. I not even beyond that. It's like I don't want to factor in Mark Hamill dying into something I want to do. I don't want Mark Hamill's a specific. Yeah, so I'm on record from the beginning when that happened. Like, I want one of those, right? It's the only card, like I said, it's the only card I would want, but I wouldn't buy one. What I mean by that is simply I own a lot of the cards, and so the cost of the card, I'm the type of person where if I could just buy a ticket, it makes a lot of sense to me, even if it were $700, because I have, 10 nice looking mid-grade ones, 5s, 6s, and 7s that I could send one and it would make me happy. So I could be in that card for $700 additional dollars.
Yes.
If you didn't own one of those cards, I could see the paying up for it, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I'm not saying I'm waiting on him to croak or anything, but I'm just saying when I was factoring in whether or not to buy one or not, it was shortly after Carl Weathers passed away, and I was like, because in my mind I was thinking the same thing. Well, he'll be at a show close to me, and I'll just go and get one in person myself, and save the money. And then I just kind of started thinking, I was like, nah, you know what, this for the extra few $100, I was like, okay, I'll just buy it.
Well, I mean, I thought it was $500, but I would pay $700 but I also would yet again not feel like I would feel like it's like grading a card to me. It's like I already paid for the card, So like when I go to graded, I'm only paying for the grading. I don't even think about what I paid for the card anymore.
Yeah.
So a similar type of thing, but it's the only one. It is the only. I mean, I'm sure if we sat here long enough, I could think of. But I even before all this is the only card that I would want an auto.
You know what though? You would come back pissed off because it's not like you had this moment with Mark Hamill.
I don't even want to do. I just want to mail it. I don't want to meet Mark.
Oh,
Hamill.
okay. I like do like
I
do like
don't-
an
I
official
like-
mix thing.
No, I mean, again, if you could press a button, I would be there, and Mark Hamill would sign it, and I get to shake his hand or whatever. Sure, I would pay for that. But like we were talking about it earlier, that's why I meant you're used to waiting in lines. You do these in-person autos. So I was like, I would. If there were 8 people in front of me, I'd be angry, right? Like it's just not. It's just something that I don't enjoy waiting in line for anything. So, but we shall see. I think the part that I will say is I do think the mountain is coming to Muhammad a bit. That like I think there's a considerable more interest in non-sports cards.
Mm-hmm.
The hard part is getting them to want the right cards. It's like I've gotten my child to start eating, but now I need them to eat their vegetables, right? Like,
right.
That's
a good analogy.
And
because like even the other collect, and I mean, I don't want to be a gatekeeper and say here you should collect this and not collect that because I do believe collect what you like, but like but I almost feel like a lot of the cards that people collect, they collect them because they don't know what else is out there, you know, and when they find out, it's like, oh man, that's really cool, you know. So, you know,
I that's why I'm always a fan of something that has a story, but is a simple story, right? You should be able to tell it in a few seconds. And like the Ahsoka card is close, but it's like, you know, again, with a Wolverine 2000 tops, you're like, this is Hugh Jackman's rookie card. This is the first time he was ever Wolverine on a card. Like, okay, I'm in it. You know what I mean? Like, there are things that are just simple. And I think that when you get into it, like, all right, so George Lucas in his office has this piece of art, and did you ever hear of Kurosawa? Do you know what samurais are? Well, then this guy, you know, it's like, all right, we're going deep. Like, again, it doesn't mean I'm picking on that specifically, but in general, like that's why when you're talking about the Tony Soprano, it's not complicated. You know the Sopranos, you know Tony Soprano. This is rookie card. There are not a lot in 10. This is a 9. That's the story. Yeah. You're like, fuck, I like the Sopranos. I like cards. Yeah. Sometimes we make it too complicated. And
I agree.
I mean, when you collect, you have to because you run out of real estate really quickly. You're like, okay, I have all the rookie cards.
So here's something we might talk about. And so, you know, Topps Chrome Star Wars is coming out here in a week or 10 days. And they are starting to put rookie card on the first appearance cards, you know, so the Shin Hati card that is going to be in this Topps Chrome will have a little rookie card symbol on the
I've
corner.
seen it. Yeah, I mean,
I think that will help. I think it'll help
the whole market.
I
have mentioned this again. Sometimes I have private conversations and public conversations, and I forget which I say publicly and which I say privately. But no, I mean, I think this is the closest thing to Topps doing a good job. And, you know, a year ago you said, hey, I wish they would do this every year. They do flagship and it would just be like this. And that's what I wish they would commit to is they'd say, hey, every year we're going to do Chrome and Finest and they're going to have rookie or debut labels on it. And this is what we're going to do. And like, even if they change their mind, like make people feel like you've made a fucking decision because that's, you know, and another conversation I had was like, we talked about how they don't do sets for shows and movies anymore. And I think that is deliberate. I really do. I don't think it's anything about how they perform. If you look at the way they do sports, they'll hold back rookies. They'll be like Paul Skeens, I think is like the guy now, and I know nothing. But like they're holding him back for update because they're like, well, if we put him in this, nobody's going to buy that. And that's what they're doing with Star Wars. Again, nobody cares if you just tell us or you do it the same fucking way everywhere. So we're like, okay, we're not getting our Debut Shin card, but they have been doing Shin sketches forever. This takes away from the debut. I mean, I get what you're saying, but
I agree.
I mean, listen, everybody, I get like so part of the conversation I had is like, are there people that they would put in and put a debut on them that would aggravate you? Like, where's the line? Like, I'll give you the
Well,
example.
like if they did an Ahsoka one and put a debut on
Oh,
it, you know, 'cause she had-
Ahsoka's a hard one, right? Like, because I agree that Ahsoka probably shouldn't. But if on there it says the show, like I've been collecting 2023 Finest, and they have Andor cards. So, like, you get my idea. So, like, that Cassian from Andor, I wouldn't like it if they made it a rookie card, but I could understand it. But like if they did that this year with Andor, where they're like, "Oh, these are debut," I'd be like, "What about or other things?" Would more specifically to me, Ahsoka's one, and the other one would be like Jack Black and Lizzo, where it's like, "Oh, we made on demand," but so I don't know, but
yeah, I don't know either. But what my hopes are is that by them putting that symbol on the new character cards, that it'll make collectors go, "Oh, I wonder what the first Captain Rex card was," and then they start going back and they say, "Oh, okay, 2008 Clone Wars card number 6. Yeah, okay, well maybe I should look into that." And and that's what I'm kind of hoping for, long term with them using that, is because right now there really isn't a rookie card or first appearance card. I mean, a lot of characters have them that it's sort of established, but there's also a lot of them where it's, well, though, like Thrawn. Oh no, there's this 96 Finest card that doesn't even look like Thrawn. But that's his first card. It's like, no, that's not it. Like I would want the Thrawn. Like if Thrawn has a debut card, that I'd be fine.
Some of them are kind of easy. Like Thrawn will be, because it's like, here's Mads Mikkelsen playing Thrawn, right? So it's kind of like, hey, Spider-Man. There's the first Peter Parker. I mean, the first Tobey Maguire, the first Andrew Garfield, the first Tom Holland. So like that type of stuff can work. But like, again, I think it's just about showing some consistency.
Yeah.
Just saying like, this is why I don't understand. That's the part with Fanatics Tops I don't get, where they can't just be like, hey, this is our plan. Nobody's going to literally set you on. We were going to set you on fire no matter what, right? We're going to burn the place down. We're going to complain about no matter what you do. So you might as well act like you have a plan, and then we'll shit on you about the plan because everybody will be happier. For it.
Yeah.
So, but
I did order a box from GameStop. Well, just because I was curious, I'm like, oh well, let's see what happens if GameStop sends me a box.
I'm surprised you have not bought a case. I'm surprised.
No, I'm being good.
I don't believe
it. Now I pre-ordered a box off of GameStop. Now that doesn't say that the day they go live that I probably won't drive by 3 GameStops to see if they have them in the store, and then I might buy some more that way.
Sam, I'm considering buying some of this. So if I'm considering buying it, I can only imagine the moment you see Ahsoka live action cards out of 5 with a debut card on it, you're going to be like, oh, what the fuck am I doing? Like, yeah. I mean, Sean bought a case, and I was like, I think it's a good idea. And like, you know me, I'm like, that's never a good idea. This is the one time that I'm like, hey, it's been 8 months since we had a real Star Wars set. We had Masterwork at Christmas.
Yeah.
And then we had, so since Finest, which came out in November, we had a card set. And yeah, they haven't even been doing on demand. We got the Sapphire Chrome Disaster, which a Phantom Menace, which I don't understand. But yeah, I mean, I just hope we're not about to get, I guess we are going to get one after the other, because we're going to get Galaxy Chrome, I think, a few weeks later. If that's, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, they haven't said it yet, but yeah, I think the rumor is that there'll be Galaxy Chrome, which that's the one set that is popular that I just don't. I don't like the art cards. I don't like art cards. That's just me. I don't like the comic.
I don't mind them.
That's just
to me, it's like autos. It's like, hey, I think they're cool. I don't think the price is cool, right? You know what I mean? Like if you're like, here's an
Right.
Alpha for $20, I'm like, okay, you got me. If they're like it's 2,000, I'm like, no, thank you. I'll buy this, thing that's and even when it comes to Galaxy, I think that very first year of Galaxy makes sense. Like I don't like it, but it makes sense. They didn't know it was going to be a hit. They didn't overproduce. They didn't do all these things. And then the last couple of years is just like, what Star Wars has been doing. Let's pile a shit ton of awful autographs and too many parallels and but I don't know.
I gotta admit though, I did enjoy opening up that Chrome Black. I didn't buy. I think I might have bought one box of it when it came out, and you get a lot of crap autos. But like the cards, the 3 card packs, they're pretty. I like those cards. I like the Chrome Black cards.
I think they look nice. They just don't seem to be there's not a lot of. They all kind of look the same, if that makes sense.
Like like from year to year.
Good. No, I just mean even like character to character. It's like very cut out of a character on this background. Like it's just so when you look at the individual card, like, that looks cool. But then you look at the next card and you're like, I don't know, it's like looking at yearbook photos or something. Like it's just not it's not exactly what I would want. But I mean I don't think I've ever bought it. I have no idea. I own some. I actually had a Cassian PSA 10 I found the other day, and I'm like, I don't know if this is a gift. I don't know if I bought this. I have no idea where this came from. But I will go back to Fanatics is most likely getting Marvel and Upper Deck's getting DC, and always excited for some shit. I do think that if Fanatics, let's just say, in a perfect world, we would get an absolute bomb that next week they're releasing Deadpool and Wolverine cards. That would just light the entire non-sports card market on fire. But they probably will do it, and it'll be in 2027. And and the autos will be of who knows.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to go see the movie yet?
I haven't, and the Marvel movies I haven't been. I haven't. I've always been. I catch them 2 years later. I'm behind the curve on the Marvel stuff. I haven't seen either of the other Deadpool movies. So I like Wolverine, but I would. In the brief span of my childhood where I collected comic books, I collected X-Men, and Wolverine was my favorite character. So I get the Wolverine craze. I honestly, and this is cranky, Sam, but I honestly don't know, because a lot of people are like, okay, so see how well this rated R Marvel movie's doing. Maybe we need a rated R Star Wars movie. And I'm totally against that. I do not want a rated R Star Wars movie.
I mean, somebody asked a question about, seemed to just ask about 66 or 67 Marvel cards. I don't know if you would know what they look like. I think they're Donruss,
I didn't see much of that. I saw a lot. There was a lot of the Batman, the
66
Batman stuff. I didn't see a lot of the old Marvel. The oldest Marvel stuff I saw was 90s, and I remember having those at the card shop I worked in that nobody wanted, that people seem to want now.
Probably that Deadpool. But I will tell you that it's funny that you bring up the idea of people should say we need an R-rated Star Wars movie. I'm like, I didn't know that. I'm not in the Star Wars community. I have all my thoughts are kind of like Tom Hanks in Castaway, or just like me on an island. But I was talking to Sean about that. I'm like, what if they did a Deadpool style movie, but I picked one of two existing characters. I was like, what if it were Chewbacca? And Chewbacca was now breaking the fourth wall and was like, Jesus fucking Christ, people. Like that. And the other option would be R2-D2, because he's been in everything. And if he were kind of like a Deadpool-esque character of oh my God, we're doing what again? Palpatine's alive? I do think you could do that, but I think that's the way you'd have to do it. Is
I could see it as R2 or Chopper, because Chopper's kind of a
sure. I just think you you kind of have to do it from the right perspective. Deadpool doesn't work if he's Wolverine or Spider-Man. It works because who's Deadpool? Like, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to insult anybody, but like, I never really heard of Deadpool till the movies. I might have heard the name, but I'm not a big comic book guy. So like,
Yeah, I don't even know what's his. Is he really a superhero, or does he just carry around and he's just a really good shot?
he can't die. That's his. He regenerates. Like, so he can't die.
He's like Kenny from South Park. Then basically,
yeah, it's
Kenny from
pretty
South
close.
Park.
But like, and he'll, you cut off a limb, it'll grow back. But the point there is that I do think Star Wars could use, maybe it's not rated R, but it needs to poke fun at itself. Like, I think it, like, Deadpool and the Acolyte are literally polar opposite of like, we're gonna be fucking super serious. Don't say anything bad about this. Don't you dare. We're, this is like, it's like this. We're in the way I describe Acolyte is like, the Bible has 5 books. We wrote another book, and it's like, here you go. And it's like, we didn't even think about the other 5 books of the Bible. We just wrote another one, and it's now there are 6 books of the Bible. You're like, fuck you. And that's why with Deadpool, it's more of like, they're like, all right. I mean, Deadpool's a lot of poking fun at the mistakes Marvel's made. And I think Star Wars could use that for, even if they did it. I don't know what they did it, way they did it, but like, if
I just want Star Wars to start hiring actors, writers, and directors that, to me, Star Wars ought to be someplace where established people want to be creative. Instead, they keep giving all of these, what I would call rookies, chances. They directed 3 episodes of this TV show. Oh, let's let them do Star Wars. No. They haven't paid their dues. They haven't done their.
I understand, but like Marvel, like they are doing that with the movies. But like the simple thing is, we haven't had a movie in 5 years, and the last set of movies was a disaster. And I don't think the filmmakers that they gave those movies are bad filmmakers. If you look at the other movies they make, they kind of do okay. J.J. Abrams is a little kind of like vanilla. Like, he's like, I'm just going to steal a formula from another movie that worked, apply it to this. Like, Rian Johnson's like a very good filmmaker. Like, it didn't work, but like, they're just, but my fix for Star Wars is threefold. 1, make fucking movies. 2, lots more animation. And 3 would be, do something that pokes fun at yourself. Like, it doesn't all have to be super serious. And just taking the air out of that a little bit will make everybody feel. It's why Deadpool's popular, not because, I mean, Ryan Reynolds is very good, but it's like, hey, we love this stuff, and it pays as a shit ton of fan service. But it's also like, almost like it's like a message board that made this thing, like where it's like all the stuff that people would complain about.
Oh, it's actually entertaining. It's not, the problem, we've as a culture we're much more tribal, I guess is the right word. So everything's more stressful at work, everything's more stressful at home, everything, so then I turn on the TV and I want to watch a Star Wars show, and all of a sudden, shit, that's stressful too, because the director is the director and has all this stuff.
I mean, to me,
stuff out, and it's like, I just entertain me.
It's like, I poke fun at Ahsoka for like the show, because I do think it messed things up, but like,
it could have been a lot better.
But it was entertaining, whereas Acolyte was not entertaining, and it wasn't.
I tried really hard to like Acolyte. Like, I tried not to be the guy that, oh my God, this sucks. Oh, no. I mean, because I hate that. I tried not to be that guy, but like, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. Well,
I think it might have been better if it weren't Star Wars, right? Like,
right.
I don't know if it would have been, but at least like, it almost didn't matter, right? That it was Star Wars. And I don't know. It just didn't keep my interest, right? Like, that's as simple as that. Usually, I watch something the first time, and
Osha and May, like, nobody cared any. I mean, I didn't care what happened to either one of them. They didn't make me care about those 2 characters. It's like, I could.
That's my argument that I have about House of Dragons, which is, I've been entertained by House of Dragons, especially this season. but I don't care. You could kill anybody, and I wouldn't care.
Right.
And
Right.
same thing on Acolyte. I was like, you could just killed everybody and been like, and here's the new team. I'd be like, okay, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not rooting for anybody. I don't care. Like, there's no
Right.
stakes here. There's like no, and to me, the ultimate fuck you was at the end when they show Yoda, and I'm like, fuck you. Like you're gonna trot him out now. Like, if you had integrated just a little bit of Yoda throughout this thing,
Right. And same thing with
infinitely better. Like,
same thing with Plagueis. Like, why not just do the show about Plagueis and Chimere, and Yoda and a couple other of the Jedis that we know? Why did you need to have all this other
I don't
stuff?
read the books. I don't read the comics. I don't know who the fuck that guy is. Right? Like, and people don't like that I say that, but
He's Palpatine's master.
right. Great. Then that's more interesting than the space witches and all that. But
Yeah.
but Yoda, who is fucking Yoda, right? Like, we don't have to, like, that's my point. It's like, Plagueis is whatever he is, and again, it may have an incredible story that if you told it to me, I'd be interested in. But I'm a Star Wars fan. Like, I know who Yoda is, and Yoda is like would have been there are so many times that they could have played the Yoda card in different shows. And this was a perfect one where they're like in the woods and like somebody has to come save them. And you're like, if you're going to use Yoda, you're on like this planet that looks very Dagobah like fucking Yoda. Like, it's not like, but that's the opposite of what Deadpool does. They give you the fan service and then they wink at you and go, hey, are you happy now? Like, instead of like literally doing it at the end, because we're like, those two scenes at the end with Plagueis and Yoda didn't have to even be written. Like, meaning like that thing could have been in the can for a year and they could have been like, we need to do something. How about if we put Yoda here and Plagueis there? Maybe then somebody will care. And by the way, it's almost exactly what happened. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it was just, like I said, I tried. The show just wasn't executed well, wasn't written well. You didn't care about the characters, and I don't really care what happens to either one, to any of them for a second season. I mean,
I don't. There's not.
I mean,
if nothing gets a second season, I'm never done, but I'm like, I don't. Business wise, I don't know how that would get a second season, but there was. So they did announce the release of One Skeleton Crew's coming out. And I thought and I think they were considering pushing that to after Andor. And I think they probably should have, because I don't think Star Wars can handle another flop. Like, Skeleton Crew cannot be as bad as Acolyte, or like, it's just something about the idea. Like, you ever go to a restaurant, it's a good restaurant, you go and they have a bad meal and you're like, oh, that sucked. And you're like, I don't know if I'm going to get you go back and you get another bad meal. You're like, they're out of the rotation. And I think Star Wars is risking that.
You're right. You're not wrong about that. They haven't had any trailer. I mean, right now, the only things we know about Skeleton Crew, right? The only thing we know about Skeleton Crew right now is that it has a bunch of kids in it, which makes me nervous because kid actors kind of generally suck. So, but I like Jude Law. So, like, the idea of Jude Law being in it, it's like, okay, that's a real actor. That's a real somebody. What I don't know about Skeleton Crew, I don't know who, like, the showrunner, because I do believe that it's part of the Mandoverse. Like, so I think that it somehow will tie into.
I try not to read shit, but the other day I was looking into it because I'm like, how is there not a trailer? How is there not a release date? The release date came out the next day, but it was the idea that it is around that time. But like, again, why are like, this is just like Fanatics and Tops and like the Star Wars, like, come on, let us in on it. Like, get us excited. Right now, I am not excited for this. I'm actually dreading it. I just want it. It's like a dentist appointment. Can we get this over with so I can go have like ice cream tomorrow? Because you have Andor sitting there, and like, not that I have my reservations about Andor, because I believe the bar is so high for me personally that I think it's unlikely they're going to be able to clear it. But still, like, it's like Ahsoka. No matter how bad Andor is, I think it'll be good. Like a terrible Andor is better than a good Acolyte. And I think
Yes.
the same might be true of like the Skeleton Crew. Because like if it's just like, even if it's middling, where you're like, what does this have to do with anything? You're like, what does the Star Wars brand mean anymore? Like that's the part.
I hope Skeleton Crew really doesn't tie into anything. I hope it's its own story within 8 episodes or 12, however many episodes it is. They have a beginning, middle, and end, and it's just its own story with its own characters, and they have their own arcs. And I'm just hoping that it's a good story.
I hope it isn't, right. Like I understand your point, but I think that they burned that with Acolyte, and they've like, if you look at the kind of, you know, the last bunch of things they've put out, Andor's the only critically acclaimed one. Ahsoka is somewhere in the middle, but like it's in the middle. Like, you know, again, like I think more people like Ahsoka, but I don't think it's viewed as like
I'm wearing the hat, and I cannot argue with you the quality of the Andor series versus the quality of Ahsoka. Andor's quality was up here, and Ahsoka's was down here.
You can like the topic different, right? Like you might like what they're dealing with in Ahsoka more. I think the execution in Andor was better. I always say they also got 12 episodes. You give Ahsoka 4 more episodes, it could have been fantastic. I think that they knew that, but that's besides the point. But then you have Book of Boba. I think Book of Boba is uneven. But I think it has its moments, especially towards the end. You have Obi-Wan, which I think I gave him a pass because it felt like it was
COVID.
Yeah, it felt like you ever watch Land of the Lost in the 70s with the sleep stats?
Yeah.
It felt like it was filmed like that. And you're like, and the most important scenes were where it felt like that, where Vader and Obi-Wan would fight. You'd be like, this is awful CGI. So you gave them a pass. They didn't really earn it. You just said, okay, it was COVID. It was what it was. You got Book of Boba. You got Ahsoka. Andor, I think, knocks it out of the park. And then you have, you know, I think that the last Tales of the Empire, I don't think was very. Okay. It was inconsequential. So I use that word about Bad Batch season 3. Same thing. Inconsequential. Mando season 3. What the fuck happened in Mando season 3? So like, this is not one thing. They have not delivered. Man, if you take Mando season 1, you know,
they won't take the low hanging fruit. They won't do what's obvious and what everyone wants to see. There's this notion or attitude out there where everybody has to surprise you. And like sometimes I just want to see what I'm expecting to see. But it's like, well, I can't give you what you expect to see because you won't like it. Well, no, that's what I want to make the movie. Like honestly, like, okay, so right now in the Star Wars world, everybody loves Hayden Christensen. Everybody loves Ewan McGregor. How on earth have you not made a 4 or 8 episode live action Clone Wars series? How is that? Or a Clone Wars live action Clone Wars movie?
I get it. I can't stand Hayden Christensen. So like, I mean, I know you like the prequels more than I do, and I'm not going to argue that would be a bad idea. I'm just saying that like, you should have just made a second season of Obi-Wan. Like Obi-Wan was another show where it was like, hey, this isn't done. Qui-Gon just showed up. What the fuck's going to happen now? Like, there's a lot.
But it's Disney and again saying, well, we have to put our own stuff in there. So it's like, so the problem with Kenobi was all of the Inquisitor stuff that didn't need to be there. You know, like with Reva and all that, like her character, which I was fine with having an Inquisitor in there. That
I mean, my issue with Kenobi are literally the 2 confrontations with Vader are terrible, and they're meant to be the high points of the show, and they're bad, and the rest of it's not good. But like, if your high notes are not good, and you don't know, like most of this stuff feels like they tell you like we have a plan. Right? Like it very much felt like to me like Ahsoka, like, okay, there's another season coming. We're ready for it. Look, you know, and then they're like, all right. and you're like asking 2 years later, and you're like, well, where's the rest of this? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, that wasn't a real story. So I don't, but I think the continuation of the mediocre, inconsequential installments is adding up, and that the brand of Star Wars is becoming so tarnished that sure, like I'm always going to love Luke Skywalker, but like there are other things where like I love James Bond, but James Bond is not what James Bond once was. Like I can still love the old James Bond movies and not be excited if a new one comes out. And that's where Star Wars is headed, certainly from the television ranks. I think that they are tiptoeing around disaster at this point. And I mean, you can see how desperate they are. Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom was an absolute move of desperation. And
yeah, I don't understand how he can be both, but I know I read or heard somewhere that somewhere in a comic book somewhere Dr. Doom and Tony Stark changed places or so. I don't know.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It seems weird.
It just seems to me. It just seems desperate, right? Like it means like we don't know how to move on. And like to me, it was like, just bring fucking Iron Man back. Like, just if you're gonna do that, like I mean, whatever. Well, I'm less worried about that. But my thought on with Star Wars a bit in that direction is, all right, if we're gonna do a lot of the stuff which they've done, is like the Mando Grogu movie should be the Avengers, and I want everybody. I want Carrie Fisher. I want Mark Hamill. And I'm not talking about like modern day. Obviously, Carrie Fisher's dead. I'm like, just de-age him. We made Indiana Jones. You made an Indiana Jones movie. Han Solo could be in this movie. Like, let's just get them all. Everybody's in. Like, let's just not fuck around anymore. Let's not, like, if we're gonna be this ridiculous, let's just literally have like a giant fight scene where we've got all the the Ghost crew. We've got Mega's in front. Like we're just loading it up. Like
Yep.
And again, you brought Mark Hamill back, and that's another thing. It's like just make a fucking Luke Skywalker show. Just make it like we all want to see Luke
or
Skywalker.
Vader. Make a Vader show and with the Inquisitors going after all the renegade Jedi after Order 66. It's all you got to do is have Vader be a badass once every other episode, and we're all tickled pink.
I think Vader is some of like my issues with Ahsoka run across everything, and it's why they probably should lean on animation, which is Darth Vader was never really an ass kicker. You know what I mean? Same for everybody. Like Luke Skywalker, like at his best was like what when he was fighting on Jabba's barge, where he's like taking, but he's not like, it's not a modern day action, and it's not John Wick, right? Like it's not the Matrix. So like trying to make them into those things, which is part of what Acolyte did on some level.
Yeah, which I didn't like.
Right. Like that. So the only way you've been able to do it is in animation. So again, make that series and make it animated. And then I'm also a fan of just like, let's do animation that leads to a movie. Animation, like, so live action is a blow off thing where it's like, well, let's do a bunch of Ahsoka and Mando Grogu stuff in animation, and then let's have a movie. And then let's just repeat that process where you do anything you want in animation, and then we'll go into a live action and we'll all be excited. But
I'd be for that.
None of that's going to happen.
And back to cards real quick. Something I forgot to mention. A friend of mine from my toy collecting world went to a toy show in Maryland last month and found, which is the same toy show that I got all of my Clone Wars Wide Vision boxes
right
2 years ago. Found a dealer that had 48 packs of Rebels.
Oh, wow.
And he bought them. I mean, he knew enough from talking to me that those cards were hard to find. I haven't asked him what he paid for them, but I'm sure it was dirt cheap. But so he found 48 packs of Rebels cards.
Again,
again, they're out there somewhere in someone's closet or pile, just
Listen, there's still 77 Series 1 boxes, right? So to think that something that came out 9 years ago doesn't exist, it does. We just don't know. Rebels is a very like it's another one where there's no market for those cards. The people who want them own them. It's kind of a lot of this stuff just takes time, and that I've seen people be very aggressive on pricing like some of the base Rebels cards and even some of the foils. And it's like nobody's buying them, and it's a shame. And I think that it's a mistake, and eventually it'll come around. But man, like that's when we were talking about the Hammer earlier. It's like supply and demand's a fickle bitch, because the moment supply outpaces demand, you don't know how far it's going to fall. So yeah, I believe all that stuff's out there. Like, the Rogue One case, never seen one. Here's one. There's, I was able to make a trade for that Cassian Gold. Like, never seen one there's never been one for sale. Somebody puts one up for $50. I mean,
Yeah.
that can happen with an Ahsoka foil, by the way. Someday when somebody
uses
like 50, I mean, your sets, that's like you and JB bought sets where it's like the person would have gotten double, triple if they listed it on eBay. So
yeah.
But that's part of what keeps us collecting, right? If we thought everything were solved and known,
right,
we just give up. But yeah, I mean, I was, when I found that Wolverine card, that gave me a rush, because that's what I used to really enjoy, is when you feel like you found something that you didn't know existed and you want to own. And the more you get into the hobby, the less that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to do with the cards I have. I do think being more aggressive with pricing cards that I think I can replace is a good idea, and not buying big cards. I think selling that. The Amelia Clark, the 101 that you hit, like, I think I'm so glad you sold it, right? I'm so glad you didn't find a way to go, I think I can get 7 out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't have that thought. But like what honestly made is the guy was there. He didn't dork around. He went straight for here's what I think it's worth, and it was what I thought. And the thought of, maybe if I'd have made more bucks, but then I'm shipping the card and I'm risking, what if it gets lost?
Oh yeah,
what if all this other stuff? This was a straight, here's the card, here's the roll of cash, we're out of here. So there's something to be said for that too. And if I find out tomorrow that he turned around and sold it for $8,000 or $9,000 or $10,000, it's not gonna. I'm still happy. Good for him. I don't think that he will. I mean, I think he wanted. He's a collector and he wanted the card, but
I mean, we're all human. Like, you can be conflicted, right? Like that's part of the thing, is like you have to. Like, it's natural. Like, part of me thinks I could have gotten more. Like, of course, like that's just life, right? Like, but to know that I also could have waited a week and then would be worth $2,000. And
Well, what's funny was JB and I were sitting, and I was watching him open up some of the wax that he had bought one of the first days of the show, and a guy sat down there with us, and he was telling us about a card that I think it was a Pokemon card or something that his son had bought, and he sold, and he convinced his son to sell it for like $1,400 or something, and then now the card's worth $6,000 or something. And he was telling us how his son was upset. And what's funny is what I told that dad, I was like, yeah, but you made your money. The next guy's going to make some money. It's okay. And I was like, you can't let that factor in. And then it wasn't, 24 hours later, I was in the exact same position. So it's just,
I think trying to squeeze every penny out of things is right. It's generally a mistake, because sure, the 101 is different, but the idea is, in theory, that you're smart collector, and that money in my hand to spend is worth more than the average collector. So I'm able to buy things that are, that either I want more or that I'll appreciate. So trying to squeeze that last penny out is almost like you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe
Right.
that you can go find something better. Now, yeah, I mean,
I even had to, there was a lot of auction houses there at the National. I even briefly thought to myself, well, maybe I should take this over to Heritage or to Pristine Auctions or one of the auction houses that was there and let them take it and promote it and put it up at one of their auctions, a month from now or whatever. That thought crossed my mind too. And then I was just like, I'm taking a little bit of a risk. Plus, then whatever their commission, am I going to end up that much further ahead? And again, it was bird in the hand's worth two in the bush. And
the only thing that when you put the number up that I thought about is like, if he offered 5, he'll probably go a little higher. That was it. Like, and you got a little more, and that's like you don't want to be greedy, and it's like, yeah, there's usually a little, but even that, I probably, if the guy had said, "Nah, man, that's my top," I would have been like, "All right,
Well, I was going to 5, but honestly, what I was thinking about is I did take a risk grading it. Like I could have just sold it to him raw for 5 and let him risk grade. But what if that would have been a 9-10? Would he have said, well, okay, I'm only going to give you 3,500 because it's not a 10-10. You know what I mean? So like it was, I felt like I deserved that extra little kick after
I mean, you literally paid $350 for the grading. So
yes.
It's again, I don't even know if I knew that part of the story. Like but no, this is just, it's a mistake we all are prone to. There's lots of like my whole conundrum with, I think grading is absolutely a disaster, but you can't be a part of the hobby unless you do it. And
right. Yeah. And here's the thing, for everything of like Sean's with those scalings cards that they get wrong, they get 5,000 right. You know what I mean? So it is a large percentage. But it's
like, how many fingers are allowed to be in your hamburger, right? Like what's like, I mean, it's there are some things where it's, there's a difference between a finger and a hair, right? Like, yeah, a hair falls in there, but there shouldn't be a finger in there.
But I don't know if you saw what I posted about that though. So I know he doesn't grade directly. I know he uses a third party, and the way the PSA website works, it would be very easy.
I know what you said. That is not an excuse. That it could have been.
I know it's not an excuse.
How it happened, not that it's okay. Those are two entirely different things, right?
Yeah, it's just my explanation as to probably how it happened.
Sure.
It's not. Oh, they're such idiots. How could that happen? Well, here's how it could happen. It could happen real easily, but it shouldn't happen.
Listen, again, if that's a single data point. There are other data points. Like I have an Ezra Rebel card that is marked rainbow foil. It's not a rainbow foil. It's not even in the Pop Report rainbow foil. And I have tons of other cards. But it's the idea that this is my concern with that above everything is that let's just say it happens 1% of the time. She's a round figure. It's not that, and we can even think that that's acceptable, but it doesn't work the way you think it does. What I mean by that is that like we grade whatever the number of cards are, 1.5 million cards every month. It's not about the 1%. It's about the gross tonnage of error cards that you will see more and more and more of these. They percentage-wise, they stay the same, but the idea that they're going to be more, and it will undermine the confidence in PSA, which is ultimately the issue. Is that and this is again, I don't want to say I've never been so sure of anything in my life. No, but like again, as a betting man, this is like PSA does nothing to make you feel confident in their grading process. They're not like they should have a class. They should take one of their graders and they should do these things where like people can bring their card and the grader doesn't know what you got and anything like that. It's like this card's going to get a 7, and he's going to be right. They should do that. They should show like that. Hey, we have a grader and they'll be consistent. They never do anything that shows.
Yeah, That's
you
the
know,
swing and a miss. I think they had the National would have been a perfect place for them to open up and kind of let one of the YouTubers behind the curtain. And you don't do they need to show 100% of the process? No, but they could let you in a little bit. I will say this though, I my experience with PSA, especially after kind of meeting some of the people face to face, they'll fix any mistake they make. So if they make a mistake and you ask them to fix it, they will fix it. But
sure,
again,
it's not about there. There are many reasons, like what I just said about the prove to everybody that you can grade consistently. Do it in public, right? Like, you don't have to do it for a million cards, but like whatever. And even if you got 2 wrong, nobody'd be like whatever. But they do nothing to make us feel that way. The idea that they'll fix a problem after the fact that's people do that when they are on the wrong side of it, right? Where, this is supposed to be marked gold, but you marked it base.
right.
Some people will go back and be like, hey, you marked this gold. Like, I'm not sure. I wouldn't try to sell my Ezra as a rainbow foil. But hey, if I traded it to somebody, they could, or I gave it to somebody, they could. And that's my point about the accumulation of these problems, and that, listen, they get a lot wrong. And that just because they're willing to fix it when you point it out to them is not good enough for what we rely on them for, and that the value we put into them doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. It just means we wildly overvalue their opinion. And,
I agree with that.
And that's where it will come back to bite us all in the ass. Like
you said, you can't participate in the hobby if you're not gonna. I mean, it's very some of those there were vintage only dealers at the National that you could tell were, I don't grade cards. Blah, blah, blah. Those guys can get away with it in what they deal with. Right. But anything other than that, if you're not grading, I don't know how you're participating in the hobby.
Well, I'll use the example of like the Tony Soprano, right? Like you're like $60. This is 9. If you got a 10 on that card, 1, you probably aren't selling it, and 2, 5 to 10 times. Like, and that's the issue, is like, and that's built into the hobby, and it's wrong. And I'm like, again, I'm being a hypocrite because I participate in it. I even think that of my own cards. And if you watched any of the stream we did the night where there was the auction on PWCC, I'm bidding on a fucking Luke PSA 9 sticker that I'm like, this is a 6 if you graded it today. I'm like, so I mean, I know I beat this horse to death and people probably get bored of it, but like they're just consistently, every additional data point we get tells us that it's a problem. There are no data points that come in and say, you know what, maybe it's better than we think. Like the blue trading card thing. Like they did that. It's like, well, what happened to all the ones that you didn't do that for? We don't know. They're just out there. Like what? Like you didn't say, hey, if anybody has any questions, you can regrade these, or we made up some process to try to like clarify. No, it's just like from here forward, we're going to do it this way. And it's like, so yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like one of those things of like, you don't want to think about, like, you don't want to think about how much feces is in your hamburger. Like there's an acceptable level, but it's just fun. You're just better off not thinking about it, and you'll be a happier person. So
yeah,
I don't know, Sam. I know it's getting kind of late, and I'm just starting to circles. So
yeah, I'm glad we were finally able to get together and have this chat. I was excited. I was excited to talk to somebody about our experience at the National. I would recommend to anybody go that can go. Like next year it's in Chicago. That's a 10-hour drive for me. I'll decide a month before the show whether I'm going to go. This one that was in Cleveland, I knew last year right after the National that I was going to go this year because it was closer to me, easier to get to.
My opinion is if you can drive there and then drive back, you should definitely go. Meaning, like if it's in driving distance where you could go you drive in the morning and drive back, you should definitely go. When it gets to driving and having to stay at night, you should do that maybe once. And then I don't think it's like unless you're a dealer. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, if you're a high-end collector of certain things, somebody wants to know how much feces there are in their hamburger. I'm like, I'm not telling you. I am not telling you. But I bet if you look it up, there's an actual figure that's an acceptable level. No, I'm glad you went, and I stick by my guns of like it'd be fun for us all to get together. Like I think it's funny that you now come to that conclusion of like, fuck, we probably should have our own show. Like because it would be more fun if there were 50 of us than the national, right? Like
yeah, and I'm convinced after meeting the handful of people that are whatnot breakers and stuff that we met, if someone said, hey, like Indianapolis is kind of the middle of the country. Hey, we're gonna meet at the Hilton in downtown Marietta or downtown Indianapolis. We got the ballroom, on Friday night and Saturday, and we got a $200 a night room break. Here's the weekend. We're all going. I think within 3 years of doing that, you can have something really special.
Again, I don't like that's a lot of work for me, and I probably still wouldn't go to Indianapolis. But like again,
no, but we can have it. We can have it 3 blocks from your house, and you wouldn't go.
No, I would go. I would like what I was going to argue for is like I think the best way to do it is like to kind of like surf off of something that wouldn't fill up all the hotel rooms, but might be a good added thing. Like, hey, the Chantilly show or the Philly show.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, it's not like the hotel rooms are going to be packed. We could get a hotel and a convention center, and hey, there's a pretty big card show also. Like
that's not a bad idea. Like doing something the same weekend as the Philly non-sports show or the Chantilly show.
Yeah, or the people who do Chantilly also do a Philly sports card show, which is a big regional show. So it's like, hey, and then you could kind of have your own thing and like that to me is probably.
Well, they did that at the National. All the soccer collectors got together and did their own soccer show every night after the National, and I guess that was a big hit.
I just think like, but at the end of the day, you end up like we're too small that we can't like why pay for the high end hotel rooms and all those things to do that when you can just like again go someplace where I'm picking a place that I would go to, right? That's my but I think for generically, I think it's always good to just latch on to some event that other people would be like, all right, 2 for 1. Like
Chantilly.
But you don't want something like Star Wars Celebration where it's like, fuck, every hotel room's full and it's going to be just expensive. I might as well go to the National. But like we shall see. I will add one thing. It's always hard to end these because then I'm going to have to go back to the doldrums of just watching TV with the dog. But so Kevin Smith is having a festival called I don't know, like whatever, it's like Clerks Fest. That's not what it's called. I forget what it is.
37 Fest or something.
I think it's Chronicon. So like it's like right out of like the movie, and it's in Chicago. So I haven't heard back from Sean. I'm not going, but I'm like, Sean, you live close enough, like you have to go, right? Like so I wonder if he's actually going to go to Chronicon. But yeah, those are the type of things that it just made me think of. But all right, Sam, it was
hey.
pleasure. Congratulations on your goal, and I will talk to you soon, buddy. All right.
Yep, perfect. Hey, thanks. Glad to hear you say you might be doing some more content. Everybody loves it. So, hey, you look great. You look great too. By the way, you look great.
Thank you. I know I'm beautiful. I Ozempic, everybody. It's not just for kids anymore. But all right, Sam.
All right, catch you later. Good night. See everybody.
All right, that's me. That was Sam. And I guess I'm going to end the show now. I always try not do this for 9 hours. Content creator. That's me. I got a lot of shit in my head that I want to get out on these individual topics one at a time. So I keep doing these 3-hour shows and, then nobody ends up watching it. I might try to squeeze out a few 10, 15-minute videos, which usually turn into an hour in the next couple of weeks. So until then, I am not Sports Cards, and I am out.